Could you get a shot of this car? Look at it. I'm out of here. It's freezing cold, but look at this car. Don Tony's car.
Basically, skip all the singing, let's get ready.
Here's how the icons roll, you know what I'm saying?
I be all over my knees like
Sick of
body
seeing you.
cleaners.
That's the fuck. Throw him in the trunk. That's a wrap. Get out of here. AEW, Carmine taking over. We got the high towers with us. It's over. We don't care about no freaking juice heads that are running rampant. We're coming for the gold. We got the back champion in the world.
Next champ. Yeah.
What's up? The greatest manager in the
There he is, right there.
Anything else before you go? Fucking Bush too? Get out of here. Get your ass out of here.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy as Don Tony gives you news and reviews from AEW.
Welcome to the party! Oh my God! Thanks for coming, Sammy!
NXT.
And it's over! Cross is here to ransack NXT souls!
And indie wrestling. It's Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite.
Know what's happening in the world of wrestling without the hate and clickbait. And now, your host, Don Tony.
Who's going? Who's going? Got the announcement today, official. Donzilla Army. I want to know seriously. I want to know who is going to be hanging out. And look, you don't have to be an AEW fan. So many of you have been wanting to get together for the longest. We've just had 17 months of horrendous shit with this COVID. And it's going to be around for a couple of years, but the worst is over, obviously. About 2.5 years ago, yours truly, Wrestling Soup, we got together in Brooklyn at a place called Lucky 13, that it was honestly life-changing for yours truly. Because we planned that for 2.5 years. 2.5 years. I had diverticulitis surgery 2 months before we went and had that event. And when I had that surgery and I was in extreme pain, you know, Mish is like, I know you're not going to go. I know you're not going to go. I actually brought cannolis for everyone. I actually videotaped I sound 80s. I recorded myself getting the cannolis from the bakery to show everyone during the day, look, I'm going to be there. I went there, and it was amazing. There's about 90 minutes worth of footage from that day because I have my phone recording. Thank God I fully charged the battery. I recorded 90 minutes of that event, and we were on the stage. Jason Solomonster came by. I wasn't even friendly with Shaheen at the time, Nuclear Heat Graphics. And what was so epic about that night is you look at the crowd and you see, honestly, about 75% minority. You know, and it was such a melting pot, and it was beautiful. And I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but I want everybody to understand this, okay? After the event was over, you know, Mish and Joey were throwing like what do they call it? I don't know, grub, Wrestling Soup grub to the crowd. Shirts, bands, merchandise. And a line formed. And, you know, they were there saying hello, and some people were coming up to me, but a line formed. And I'm watching these people form a line, and then a second line formed. And I'm standing there, and a lot of this is on video. And I'm looking, and there's lines going out the door for a bunch of people to meet yours truly, a bunch of people to meet Wrestling Soup, and what we kept hearing over and over again, and I know John Draper doesn't do Soup anymore, but if you ask John Draper, if you ask Joey Numbers, if you ask Mish, 99 times out of 100, people kept saying, you don't know how much you helped me go through dark times. You don't know how much, I care about the show. I'm a loyal listener. Even people understand the humor that I used to do more at that time, the tongue-in-cheek and, drawing the fine line with things. But it was just nothing but love in that room. And it was life-changing. Because when you see that many people have that much care and people telling you, I buried my mother 2 years earlier and your shows got me through it. I'll never forget the time that somebody called on their cell phone and they're standing in front of their house in Florida and said, my house just got torn to the ground because of a tornado. And I needed to call your show just to get my mind off for a little while. That shit, how do you not, give back? So when I didn't expect that type of love that night, but that was planned for 2.5 years, and I told Mish, I said, unless I'm on my deathbed or something tragic happens in my family or I'm arrested, I'm going to be there. And it was epic. So since then, there's been so many of you out there, oh my God, we got to get together, we got to get together, we got to get together. And I know that there's people out there that will always say that but never show up, or they'll say that just so they can have 100,000 tweets written to him. Oh my God, I can't wait to see you. Oh my God, it'll be awesome. Oh my God, everybody will be hanging out. Oh my God, oh my God. And they soak it in like a narcotic. And then right before the event, no, something came up. Oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to do that. To expect it. But for those that have no idea what I'm talking about, it was made official today. AEW will be coming to Queens, New York, Wednesday, September 22nd. Arthur Ashe Stadium. Now, for anybody that goes back with me to the USA Pro Wrestling days, do you remember when we had a barbecue and you remember a tag team called the Shaolin Wrecking Crew? Anybody remember the Shaolin Wrecking Crew? One of the team members, I can't remember his name, but his wife got critically ill. And we did a barbecue in Flushing Meadow Park. And the barbecue turned out to be a fiasco because some people were on one side of the park, some people on the other side of the park. A whole bunch of indie wrestlers showed up. And we're about to pack it in and all go home. And he's still alive. Evan Ginsberg is still alive. I don't know if Jimmy Valiant is still alive. But Johnny Valiant. Here comes Johnny Valiant, luscious Johnny Valiant, walking across Flushing Meadow Park. Hey, I hear there's a barbecue going on. It was like Rodney Dangerfield. And the guy's cracking jokes, and it was just an awesome, awesome day. So if any of you remember that barbecue, Arthur Ashe Stadium, it's about 5 minutes away. Any of you familiar with Citi Field where the Mets play, Shea Stadium where they used to play, 5 minutes away. If anybody knows LaGuardia Airport, 5 minutes away. Mr. Big, if Mr. Big happens to hear this, some of those ticket sellers where we went collecting, trying to get money from the people that owed Frank Goodman by LaGuardia Airport, 5 minutes away from there. So we are going to be having a get-together. That beer that JD from New York said to me multiple times, we got to have that beer, bro. We got to have that beer. I don't drink beer. I drink wine. But I will have a beer that night. I hope Jason Solomonster shows up. Believe it or not, some of you are telling me, why don't we get in touch with the Minority Report guys? Hell, Joey 924 wants to come down. Black Moses smoked out. Absolutely, man. So what we're going to do, now tickets don't go on sale till July 16th. So we got plenty of time. But, I really got to find out from all of you who is legitimately serious about going, because I'm going to work out a deal and get a block of tickets from AEW. This stadium holds 20,000 people. It's not a tiny place, but we could get a whole section and we just hang out during the whole thing. Again, you don't have to like AEW. The whole idea is go on YouTube, type in Wrestling Soup Lucky 13. Dells, even though I don't talk to him anymore, I gave him permission to stream the 90 minutes of footage when we were there. You'll see me with stand-up. You'll see me on the microphone, and then Jason Salamonster walks in. And I'm like, no. We had so much fun that night. And so many of you out there that were unable to make it, because it was WrestleMania weekend, and there was a lot of wrestling events going on that weekend. So it was totally understandable why some of you couldn't make it. But for all of you out there that have the means, whether you live in New York, you want to drive to New York, some of you want to fly to New York, I'll get you a hookup for the hotel. That's right. I don't remember the name of the hotel right by LGA, but that's the hotel where I used to book a lot of Frank's wrestlers. And I still have an account, so I could get people next to nothing. And if you book right now, especially since we're coming out of COVID, plane is going to be dirt cheap. I wouldn't be surprised for some of you if it costs less than $100 to fly here. So if any of you out there are seriously considering, now I posted something in the community section here, because I notice, Twitter is more about status than anything else. And, Discord is Discord, but here on YouTube with the community section, we're all family here. So some of you already responded, but I want to get an idea because, if I have to buy a block of 100 tickets before the event, I'll do it. I'll treat some of you. And it's not a bribe or anything. It's a way to give back. And if you go on, and we'll move on now, but if you go on YouTube and look at that Lucky 13 footage, you'll understand why that was life-changing, man. It was life-changing. It made all the years of doing the shows, just that much more worth it. And, yes, we planned that for 2.5 years. Here we're playing it for 2.5 months, so to speak. So, it's less time, but I know a lot of you out there, like AEW. And look, I've been wanting them to come to New York for a while. I didn't just go to Pro Wrestling Tees this afternoon, take the trip down to Illinois, wherever, say, give me an AEW New York shirt. Been waiting for this. Now, I don't know, if I'm going to get any contacts to anybody in AEW. You know how the deal is. You go against the grain. You're a little politically incorrect. You like the plague. Even though, our family out there, between the audio-only family that tunes in and video, I don't think it could be beat. I know a lot of people get 10 times the amount of people on YouTube, but 80% of everybody who enjoys my shows check out audio-only. I do video because I could show you the poster. I could do goofy things here. I could have some fun. Have a little bit of visuals, show you things on the screen. There's a lot of reasons why, but I already asked Wrestling Soup, see if they want to come down. Even if they fly down Wednesday and fly home Thursday, I'll take care of them. And this is 10 minutes from my house. So I wanted to throw it out there. It's a pretty big deal. 20,000 seats plus, you got Eddie Kingston coming home, Santana and Ortiz coming home. I'm hearing a couple of local names that might actually get a match or two before Dynamite, which would be unbelievable. Awesome. Not to the point of melting, though. But we're going to have a ball. And, I hope everybody that seriously wants to come. And I hope the ones that are just going to soak in the attention and say, oh, maybe I'll go. Oh, let me think about it. Oh, and they have no intention on going. They just want to hear people go, oh, I would love for you to be there. Oh, it'd be awesome. Shit, man. After 17 months of COVID, I want to have fucking fun, man. And I want to hang out with as many of you crazy son of a bitches as possible. Definitely. Now, I know somebody already posted, like, DT, could you possibly manage, like, a dark mat? So, it's not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen. Obviously, that would be a fantasy and kind of a dream come true to be able to do that, but I don't think it's going to happen. It ain't happening. Anyway, now, unfortunately, to go from one high to one extreme low, Mish and I brought it up a little bit yesterday on Patreon. we got the word about Don West. And if you haven't heard about it, Don West has brain cancer. Now, there's many different types of brain cancer. But the more you research about it, this is something that even with chemo and him doing everything that he can do, it's his days are numbered. And that's really, really sad. And anybody, look, I go back on these shows to when it was Hotlines in 1997. And one thing I can tell you, and anybody that goes back with me that long knows, I used to despise Don West before NWA TNA. When he was doing the shop at home stuff, and they would sell the swords and the baseball cards and all that stuff. And, I never forget it. And I know the footage is out there. I always would spoof him. Now, I'm a little bit down about this right now. And look, I absolutely love Don West's work now. This week in wrestling history, you go back and just type in Don West and you'll hear me pay tribute to him a few times. Just hear me out. But back then, and I got to really get myself in a mood, but the Mark McGuire USA baseball team card, they would push that son of a bitch like you wouldn't believe. Barry Bonds rookie cards, Barry Bonds, everyone, Barry Bonds. And I'll never forget it to the day I die. If Shop at Home, if they pulled this in 2021, there'd be feds at the door looking to lock people up. I remember they was selling uncut baseball sheets. Now, they didn't tell anybody to commit fraud, but he did it with some hillbilly from the South, because I remember his co-host like, look, I'll open this, and they're like showing the uncut sheets, 1987 uncut sheets. And one of them said, if you got like a good cutter, you could perfectly cut these cards into perfectly centered. Now, anybody that knows anything about PSA graded, now everybody's thinking at that time, holy shit, that's not a bad idea. I'll buy an uncut sheet, get one of those big giant scissors that you usually find at the office, and you line it up perfectly and go zip, zip, and now you got perfectly centered cards. And then you send it out to Beckett, PSA 10. Barry Bonds. The second best part was when they would offer, like, you could get like 100 different packs of cards, and they would open all the cards on the air, and they would say, we only have 20 left. We only have 20 left. And then you would call the automated line, and it would say, how many would you like to buy? And I would type in 40. And it'd be like, that'll be $1,172. And I'm like, these motherfuckers, they're saying there's only 5 or 10 left because they want people to call the phone now. Get it now before it sells out. And he did it over and over and over again. Bastards. But now I say that with love because he was hustling, man. Don West was a goddamn hustler on Shop at Home. And as the years went by, the more I got to appreciate that hustle. There's ways to hustle and do it right. And then there's ways, you do it wrong. Then he came to NWA TNA. And early on, I didn't like his work at all. And look, he didn't die. He's going to fight the good fight. And hopefully he'll be around for years to come. But I just needed to say this, You go and you check my This Week in Wrestling History. And you type in the one thing that I brought up that I envied about him as well. And Mish and I talked about this specific thing yesterday. Is the guy was so quick in whatever he said. He didn't have to master the names of every moves. Tope into a guillotine, leg drop into a 360, 450. Was that a plancha? He didn't have to do that. But he would be total nonstop energy all night long. And there were times where I aired clips of a match and I waited for like a pause in what he was saying or Mike Tenay so I could maybe edit the match down, chop it down like a 20-minute match into 5. And there were points that they would just bounce off each other. And for 15, 20 minutes, you're like, Could you just shut up for half a second so I could? They just, nobody I think could do that. And I ended up really liking his work. He was not the best commentator, but that guy, and if you remember when they were doing the TNA Hall of Fame stuff like 2 years ago in the Florida stuff, I said I thought Dixie Carter and I thought Don West should really be celebrated. So, you know what's funny, Harris? I don't remember the Sammy Sosa ones. I mean, I do remember the baseball chase. What was it, 98? When it was Sammy Sosa and McGuire. In fact, I think it was 99 it might have been with him. This was after they had the big baseball chase. But I remember the Mark McGuire, the USA card that they tried to push, and the Barry Bonds stuff. Oh, my God. I mean, seriously. I don't even know how the impersonation sounds, across. But if you just, picture yourself sitting on a nail or sitting on, a thumbnail or something, that's how you elevate your voice that much. It's not Barry Bonds. You get Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds. Guy is a burst of energy, and he had a damn good radio show as well. And to think, I don't want to compare him to Gordon Soley. Can't compare the two. But the thing that really upset me about Gordon Soley back in the day, and when I got that Soley Award in, I think it was 1999 or 2000, I got a Soley Award for the hotline I was doing. That was one of my most cherished things because I loved Gordon Soley's work. But the one thing that was so sad about Gordon Soley was the one thing that he was most famous for was being taken away from him, his voice. And yes, Don West still has his voice. But when the tumors start interrupting, and the thought process and the functions, it reminds me of what happened to Gordon Soley. The things that you love to do. That's why, I always say, even doing this stuff here, I don't know how many years I'll still be doing this. I have no idea what's going to happen. But the one thing that would always upset me is, and look, if anybody goes back with me in the hotline days, Captain Ivan, I know he still tunes in. And, Ivan, if you want to go too, man, reach out to me. But he used to have a wrestling hotline. And yes, there were times where we hated each other. That's how I became friendly with Daphne back then, because Captain Ivan was stalking her. And she called me up and she's like, could you please tell your friend not to call me? And I'm like, he's not my friend. He does a hotline. And that's how the friendship started. Nicole Bass wanted to kill Captain Ivan. If any of you out there want a cool story, some of you probably know it already, but let me just say with Captain Ivan, he had a wrestling hotline. He was very good friends with Georgie M. Acropolis, too, God rest her soul. He was a coffee gopher for, I think, Harvey Whippleman. It was either Harvey Whippleman or the Brooklyn Brawler. That's what Captain Ivan would do. Captain Ivan would go to Madison Square Garden when WWF would go there, and he would help, I think, either Harvey or the Brooklyn Brawler. I don't remember which one it was. But he had a wrestling hotline, too, and then he caught a stroke. Now, he enjoyed his beverages. I don't remember anything with drugs, but he caught a stroke. And when he had the stroke, and I know some of you remember this, in fact, Nelson Torres, WTF, which I know a lot of you know. He remembers this clearly. When I heard that Captain Ivan got a stroke, somebody told me his speech is a little bit fucked up. So I said, you know what, Ivan, I left him a message on his voicemail. I said, Ivan, come on my hotline. Just let everybody know how you were doing. And when he came on, I felt so devastated for him. He couldn't talk. His mouth, there's paralysis. And, I know that that's something that he absolutely loved more than anything else, Gab. And it was taken away from him. But, so, thoughts and prayers are with Don West. If any of you out there do ever pass by his social media, send him the best wishes. I think he would really appreciate that. Now, we'll get to NXT. I have a few things to talk about. We'll talk about Samoa Joe. We'll talk about finally, they took a clear, concise direction with Karrion Kross. Might have surprised people that WWE went that route, but we'll talk about that. I have a couple other wise-ass comments to make later on. Wise-ass random comment number one. How do you all like Jake Atlas's run during Gay Pride Month? Oh, yeah, I went there. Not trying to stir it up. But I have friends that tune into the shows. that absolutely appreciate Jake Atlas and others who are gay. I have nothing but respect and praise for Jake Atlas. But me, it's hard for me to understand it since I'm not gay or bisexual. But just as a regular human being coming across it, when WWE, and I'm sorry for repeating myself, but when WWE 2 weeks ago, the first day of the month, Jake Atlas beat LA Knight, I swear on God, go back to WWE NXT's Twitter account and look at the timestamp on TV where Jake Atlas won that match and look at the timestamp of when they tweeted it. They had the tweet ready, and literally 3 seconds after Jake Atlas got the pin, click. What a way to kick off Gay Pride Month. And I'm saying to myself, would Jake Atlas have won that match if he wasn't gay? And I'm not trying to be an asshole and not trying to stir anything up, but I'm like, you know, man, the guy is so goddamn talented. You know, I even made the comment, $1 Million Man should consider him as a $1 Million champion because he beat Cameron Grimes 2 weeks earlier, and then he beat LA Knight. And I said that night, I said, let's see 2-3 weeks from now. Let's see Jake Atlas's run on TV. Let's see it continue. Since January, Jake Atlas, you know how many matches he averages a month for WWE singles matches? So I'm not trying to stir anything up, you know, but I'm just saying to myself, like, man, you had that fucking tweet typed with a whole bunch of emojis, ready to go, and the minute the 3 count happened, 3 seconds later, look at the timestamp and look at the tweet. And I'm like, you know, I understand celebrating LGBT Pride Month. Absolutely. I have close friends who are gay. I have a cousin who is gay. And I might even have other relatives who are gay that maybe are just too afraid to come out. And I've had some listeners on the show send me some very deep emails, and we've had DMs in the past talking about things. And I try to understand. You know, it's not easy for me to understand, even those who are black and other. I can only imagine what some of you go through. You know, but I also say to myself, like, man, you know, I understand it's Gay Pride Month and you want to celebrate it, but it felt like Jake Atlas was more of a prop than anything else. It almost felt like, oh, we need to have a gay person win to kick off Gay Pride Month. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how many people out there feel that way. You know, I'm sure that there's some people who are gay that are just saying, Don Tony, shut up. And you know what? I totally respect that. And I have a feeling there's others out there, because some of you have already spoken up and said, DT, you know, not for nothing, but you're right. You're right. And it's 2 weeks later. Nothing. So, you see, it's conversations like that, which is why, you know, yours truly gets no play with most promotions and podcasters, because we're in 2021. Let's be honest, everyone. You know, people just want status, and they want to feel like they're part of a group. And a lot of times people will turn a blind eye at frauds, at fakes, at, you know, backstabbers, and because not to rock the boat, you know. And then you got people out there that will just gush or complain when the in thing to do is to complain about something, so they're part of a bigger picture. Me, I've always, you know, what do they say? I've went to the beat of my own drum, or rocked to the beat of my own drum. I tell you exactly how I feel. You disagree? Totally respect that. But comments like that doesn't get any friends out there. DMs, sometimes you'll get some people in wrestling, dude, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, I'll say it now. It's not bragging, but I'll say it now. You know, I've always defended Lars because, you know, we've all at some point said some dumb shit, especially when you're a lot younger, and who knows what personal, you know, incidents or experiences, negative ones, that might have someone feel a certain way towards people. I don't know. It doesn't justify it, but so there's usually reasons behind it. And early on, when I would speak out and I would say, you know, these people just looking for tweet fucks and tweet hand jobs, you know, I got a DM from him way back when. And he's like, dude, man, I love that. Keep exposing the tweet fuckers. Said it point blank. And I said, my pleasure, you know, because I sit there and it makes me throw up to see people out there, which is obvious fraud and fake and everything else. And you see all these people just go along with it. My thoughts are with you. Oh, my prayers are with you. Sad emoji with crying. And you know everything that's being said is a lie because people just want to be part of it. It's the cycle. You know, look at yesterday. Look at the last couple of days. You know, look at Adam Cole when he cut the promo on Karrion Kross. And everybody making fun, not everybody, but a good portion of people making fun of Karrion Kross's anorexic look, Adam Cole's anorexic looking arms. He does look like a gas station attendant. Okay, that's fine. You want to joke about him, that's fine. But fans that are fans of Adam Cole, they could be mocked, joked, criticized, poked fun at, insulted, losers, fuckheads, dickheads. Oh, no, but that's okay. We're just joking around. At the end of the day, we're all wrestling fans. It's the formula. So that's why we get no play, everyone. And I don't give a shit. Honestly, I didn't do anything illegal. And as far as I know, I'm not banned from AEW stuff. I don't want nothing for free. But if they reach out and maybe I could get a little deal and get like 100 tickets or a section, something like that, I'll do it. You know? But if people are going to intentionally give the cold shoulder, you know, no problem. You know, we'll just, you know, have our own fun. And, you know, when everybody else is chanting like Young Bucks, Young Bucks, Young Bucks, we'll be up there and going, soup motherfuckers. Not trying to stir it up, just saying, like, you know, people know how to play the game. There's some people in podcast land that know exactly how to play the game, and I envy them. I give them credit. They know exactly how to play the game. Me, I don't like playing the game. I like just being me. And if I come off as an asshole, so be it. If I come off, hey, DT, I don't know if I would have said, oh, fuck you. So, Samoa Joe. I did like how he choked out Adam Cole yesterday. I did like the stare down with him and Pete Dunne. I did like the opening segment with William Regal. William Regal, legit tears in his eyes. Man works his ass off behind the scenes for NXT, wrong letter in the alphabet. He's done a lot. And, you know, we've heard the rumors since TakeOver that he was going to be replaced. And the night of TakeOver, we had a conversation here on this show, and we narrowed it down to Daniel Bryan or Samoa Joe. Now, a lot of you, when Samoa Joe was first released, a lot of you said the same thing. Why can't they bring him in NXT? Have him wrestle there. I know a lot of you remember me saying that he could be a commentator in NXT for a short period of time, get into a confrontation with someone, and there you go. He's back in the ring a little bit. Now, what I said Sunday night, and I repeated it on Monday when I was on with Mish. I said, what I think happened with Samoa Joe is, I think Samoa Joe, when he got released, sent feelers out through friends, himself, sent feelers out to a whole bunch of promotions, probably AEW, Impact Wrestling, MLW. I don't know specifically, but I'm sure Joe, for the last couple of months, didn't just sit at home and watch TV and YouTube videos and didn't pursue other opportunities. I think what happened was Joe, this is just an opinion, I think Joe sent out a lot of feelers, whether through friends or others, and realized there weren't greener pastures elsewhere. We're just coming out of COVID. I mean, look at Ring of Honor. One of those events they're having, I don't know if it's Baltimore, I don't remember which location it was, but Ticketmaster, we're going to have live fans. And when you went on Ticketmaster, the whole bottom ground level blocked off. That's going to be reserved for family and friends, that they know exactly what's going on with their COVID situation. And the perception is that they have, but the best tickets you could get was like section 100, one step up. AEW, you see people getting thrown into the front row. And some of the stuff we've seen for the last 2-3 weeks with AEW, most of them are family and friends in those boxes. Fans are back, but they're still a pretty decent ways away. In some cases, more and more now, it's getting different, obviously. And people are now realizing if you're vaccinated, the chances of you getting reinfected and having enough virus where you can get sick is almost nil. It's the truth. It's the truth. Truth is starting to come out now. So the thing is a lot of these feds, it's going to take a very long time for NWA to get back to where they were. It's going to take a long time for MLW and Ring of Honor to get back to where they were. They didn't have those $100 million TV deals. They didn't even have $10 million TV deals. And NWA, if there was enough fundage, we stored it away. No. We had the piggy bank. We had the National Piggy Bank Alliance. We saved all our pennies and we waited and now we could go full blown. No. You want to watch NWA? You got to pay. You got to pay. Now, that 450 pay-per-view buy rate was not true. That was just one region. And eventually those numbers will come out. And once again, you'll understand, where you get the info from is accurate. Because I don't want to be first. I want to be right. But a lot of these feds don't have that kind of fundage to afford a Braun Strowman, to afford a Samoa Joe, to afford others. Plus, a lot of these feds are looking to build their own stars, their own names. Impact Wrestling, I think, could have been the best chance for Samoa Joe to get a run again. And the thing is, they don't have full-blown fans back again. The pay-per-view buy rates have been pathetic. The ratings are horrendous. Only now are they revealing all the Impact ratings for the last 4 weeks. And you find out? 110,000 viewers, 124, 131, 118. That's what Kenny fucking Omega is the champion. That's what Tony Khan showing up there. That's what this all the influx. I've said this before, and I tweeted about it earlier in the week. I truly think that Impact Wrestling assumed that a majority of their fans were also AEW fans. And because a majority of their fans were also AEW fans, that the two would be a perfect connection. Remember, there was no nosedive in ratings before Kenny Omega showed up there. There was no nosedive. Their numbers actually were better before Kenny Omega showed up there. I wonder how many Impact Wrestling fans over the last 6-7 months said, man, fuck this, man. Seriously, especially after what happened the other day with Moose and Kenny Omega. Oh, because Sami Callihan's Slammiversary would do it in front of fans. They caused so much damage to their promotion in the last 6-7 months. Nobody in AEW is going to say in interviews, they benefited? Yeah, tell me where. Nobody's going to say that. Good business. You do business with someone and someone wants to, give, and you know that you're getting the better hand of the deal, and you know that that person's really not benefiting, but you're actually getting something decent out of it. You think I'm going to turn around and say, that guy ain't getting benefited nothing from me? That's not how you do business. And again, what I just said, you think that makes Impact Wrestling all that happy? No. But I know a lot of fans who are Impact fans that said, man, I fucking hate this AEW shit that's happening. They like not pushing some of the people. And it's rubbing people the wrong way. Now they're stuck in this. Now they can't just, they can't just do like an old TV show where a new season starts and miraculously there's like another person on the show. I don't want to go outdated, but it was like I never fucking liked the Brady Bunch. And I hated it even more where for some reason, I don't know, as a little kid, like I just stopped watching for a couple of, I think I just liked the girls in the skirts because, I was a little kid at the time, puberty. I come back and there's this fucking Oliver on the show. And I'm like, look, is this? And even, what was it? Was it, Family Ties. They did the whole pregnancy thing and everything. And then the next season comes. What was his name? Banal or whatever. I'm like, who is this? It happened on numerous things. Look at, Married with Children is a little different because they kind of like took in 7. But still, it's like, next. So Impact Wrestling is not going to suddenly, next week, and then suddenly everything is different and you don't know why. So how we got on that, I don't know. But you know what? Since we're talking about like ratings and stuff, I got your NXT rating. Let me pull it up. 695,000. Only up 26,000 from the week before. Is 695 a good number? Coming out of the pay-per-view? Major William Regal announcement? Everybody thinking Samoa Joe is going to show up yesterday? And you only get 695. I think that's a pretty disappointing number. I don't know how you feel about it. But, so getting back to Samoa Joe, I think Samoa Joe realized that there weren't greener pastures right now. A lot of promotions going to take them a long time to recover and rebuild because of COVID. So what do you think he's going to do? Just cover my plane fare and give me lunch, and I'm good. It's not how it works. That's why Braun Strowman, what do you think his options are? Seriously. People making petitions, get him in AEW. People getting petitions, no, don't do it, AEW. People doing petitions. Easy to spend other people's money. Samoa Joe, I think, realized that his best option right now is NXT. And we don't know how long he's going to wrestle. It's pretty obvious that they are going to let him wrestle. What they're doing right now is they're doing the slow burn. They're doing a slow burn. When you're a GM, you're not supposed to wrestle. So right now, he is, I don't want to say the Samoan Tajiri. He is like the enforcer for William Regal. But this is being done right now, so Samoa Joe can still get in the ring. But once WWE says, Joe, it's time. It's time. That's when Samoa Joe will be your GM. Right now, it's called the slow burn. Or if anybody that enjoys my shows every week, we could say it a different way. We could say Samoa Joe soon will be GM. I liked when Adam Cole shoved him yesterday and he choked out Adam Cole. Adam Cole went to sleep. You know what my first reaction was? What is Samoa Joe going to do when the women get uncontrollable backstage? What's he going to do? Are they just going to stand there and watch? So are we going to get a female enforcer? I think they should. I don't know who you would use, but think about that. I mean, the women are having these whacked out, crazy backstage brawls also, right? What is he going to do, Samoa Joe? He's going to choke out a woman? He's going to choke out a woman? So there's a hole there. Second thing is, I loved everything with Joe yesterday. But I also got to look at the opposite side too. William Regal's promo with the tears was legit. And William Regal, his character is slowly phasing out. It's obvious. But the whole storyline was NXT has become uncontrollable. Too much disarray. How many times you heard me say that every week over here? Too much stuff going on. So what did we have yesterday? We had tons of pull-aparts backstage, but since Samoa Joe makes somebody go night-night, suddenly there's not disarray. Think about that for a minute. William Regal, the whole storyline of him making a change is he can't control NXT. So basically, you're battling violence with violence. Doesn't that kind of not make sense? Then we must make drastic changes. But yet, the Grizzled Young Veterans and Ciampa and Thatch yesterday have a tornado match where they could brawl everywhere. Things must change. But in 3 weeks, O'Reilly and Cole are going to have the same goddamn match that they had before. They're going to kill each other. Just think about all of that for a minute. There's too much disarray. There's too much disarray. I have to make a change. There's even more disarray now. But since Joe is choking people out, that's like saying, okay, it's all right if there's brawls in the streets. So instead of trying to stop the brawls, we'll just join in on it. So there's a couple of holes in this. But you know what? As long as we're enjoying it, doesn't really matter. Now, yesterday, WWE, bravo. Bravo. Seriously. Something I've complained about week after week after week on these shows. And you all know what that is. Karrion Kross needs a clear and concise direction. How many times did you hear me bring up here? The NXT episode right after he won the title, he goes out there. The fans are going, fall and pray, fall and pray. Takes the microphone, points it at the fans, acknowledging them. Acknowledge me, acknowledge me. That's a babyface move. The following week, WWE, loud on their soundboard, boos. Okay, that's a little confusing. The week after, all right, well, yeah, he's brawling with Pete Dunne, who is a heel. But then he's brawling with Kyle O'Reilly, who's a babyface. But then he's choking out Austin Theory, who is technically a heel, but even though he's starting to get more babyface reaction. And they're like, where is he on this? And you know the goofy gushers out there. Oh, no, Kross is his own man. And that doesn't fucking help. That doesn't help Kross at all. When William Regal went to the ring with Kross the week before, and Kross says, you don't run the show, I do. Crowd hated it. The week before, Adam Cole handed Kross his ass. It's not Kross's fault. I defended Kross up and down. Give Kross a couple of years, put that all together in the microphone department. Now this leads to what I've been wanting to share for almost a week now. This is why I talk about the goofy gushers online. I am obviously a huge supporter of Karrion Kross, quote-unquote friend of the family. You all know that by now. Absolutely blown away, that I could be part of the influences, entertainment, even before he got into wrestling. I don't say that as a badge of honor, but I say that because I want people to understand that when I give criticisms because things that I like, I want to see better. And there are people out there, and we talk about it with AEW and with others as well, is that everything is epic, everything is amazing. Let's melt together. How many times I said that? How many of you out there know particular people on social media that everything that AEW says, they use the words epic, unbelievable, amazing. Oh my God, Christian is back, and I'm just sobbing in front of my computer right now. Oh, if he retired tomorrow after this, then he is totally. What the fuck are you talking about? Like people just like, oh my God, I'm sitting here sobbing. I'm like, you sob when your grandmother dies. You sob when you get dumped. You sob when you get an IRS letter in the mail. You sob when you're trying to take a shit and it won't come out. You don't sob because, oh my God, that hug with the guy from Private Party and who's the Sunny Kiss. Oh, that was such an amazing moment. I just felt it in my heart. I'm sobbing. And these are people that when AEW does get some negative news, they always have an excuse for it. Remember? Oh, no, Biden speech. No, playoffs. No, Memorial Day. And then the following weeks where there is no playoffs, there is no Biden speech, there is no Memorial Day, and the ratings are just as bad. And I love Meltzer. I will always appreciate the kindness that he showed me for some of the causes I did in the past. I still subscribe to his newsletter to this day. But I will never forget a couple of weeks ago when AEW had that 462,000 viewership rating. And 2 sentences later, he actually wrote, However, during that episode of AEW, approximately 1.3 million viewers stopped by and watched AEW for 1 minute. Think about that for a minute. 462,000 viewership rating, but 1.3 million stopped by and watched it for at least a minute. The fuck does that mean? I brought it up as an example the other day. That's like, oh, I go to a club and everybody's rejected me. But a whole bunch of girls, as they're walking by, they like looked at me and then they kept walking. But they at least looked at me. Man, people are just so afraid to tell it like it is. So with Karrion Kross did an interview the other day with Vic Joseph and Corey Graves. He was talking about some of the reasons why he signed with WWE. And he said this. Second reason why he signed, and he's never said this before, but the second reason had a lot to do with the fact that so many people thought that he would be extremely successful very quickly elsewhere. Now, remember Sunday night when I made that joke? You're going to have people out there. That's it. Put him on the main roster. Let him feud with The Rock. Let him feud with Roman Reigns. Put him on Mount Rushmore. Remember the Mount Rushmore remark? You know, it's just coincidence. But an hour later, Karrion Kross is cutting a promo saying, oh, yeah, I just put a hole in the Mount Rushmore. But let me just read a couple of more sentences of what he said. He had so many people thinking that he would be extremely successful very quickly elsewhere. He took that as a challenge. He knows that they meant it as a compliment. But to be honest, and he doesn't want to start swearing, but it made him very mad. Very mad. Now, I don't think he did that, but it made him very mad. He was like, why would you think that I would find so much success so quickly? He sat in that and thought about it, and I'm like, no, you know what? Whether that was your intention or not, challenge accepted. Now I'm going to show you that I'm going to the top of the food chain in this industry, and I'm going to show you I'm not going to get lost in the shuffle, and I'm going to ascend to exactly where I know I could be. Those are the goofy gushers. Those are the ones that are out there that when Adam Cole hands Karrion Kross his ass, and again, that's because Adam Cole came up through Ring of Honor, came up through Gabe Sapolsky, came up through WWE for the last bunch of years, where they are heavy in the promo department. Impact Wrestling, you know, they didn't tutor and coach and nurture like these other companies do. Adam Cole has 4 or 5 years of that. And look, I brought it up. Look at AJ Styles when he first came into WWE. Look at Daniel Bryan when he first came into WWE. It wasn't that long ago. And over the years, they put it together. Things fall into place. It's not easy to go out there and start intelligently dismantling your opponents when you don't have that connection yet with the crowd, when you don't have your identity yet. How's Karrion Kross supposed to say some things he's supposed to say where you don't even know, is this intended to be a babyface? Is this intended to be a tweener? Is this intended to be a heel? So when you get up against people, let alone Adam Cole, who has been the face of WWE NXT for a bunch of years now, and everybody that goes to the Capitol Wrestling Center acknowledges those who have been busting their ass. I've been saying it for a while now. Anybody notice that Legado del Fantasma is getting a bigger pop from those live fans than MSK? Nothing against MSK. MSK is not there long enough yet. Anybody notice that some others are getting louder pops? It's because they acknowledge the people who have been there, dedicated, and the newer people have to earn it. You have to earn it. You don't just walk in there and everybody's supposed to say, that was unbelievable, that was amazing, that was epic, I'm sobbing right now. You know what happens? You got people online that try to live vicariously off of badasses. I am too embarrassed to show you my face. I am too embarrassed to reveal myself. I will show you baby pictures. I will show you avatars. I will show you emojis. I will show you caricatures. I will show you pictures up until I started getting pubic hair. So since I'm not strong enough or confident enough to show you that if I'm going to criticize a whole class of AEW fans, if I'm going to criticize a whole class of NXT fans, if I'm going to criticize a whole class of people out there, I can't show you how I look, because then I will come across as the ultimate hypocrite. Then I will have tons of people saying to me, the fuck are you to be talking about? That's why when I do the shows, I don't talk about people fat. I am fat. I know what it's like to be made fun of, being called the Michelin Man. Hey, Anthony, it's Prince Spaghetti Day. You know, I laugh it off, but it kind of hurts a little bit, you know? But the point is, so these people who are very insecure about themselves want to live vicariously off of the badasses. If somebody has muscles like this, since I can't show you that my muscles probably go in the wrong direction, like this, I'll just praise the fuck out of the badasses, because then I look like a badass. Let me joke about the people everybody else jokes about, and I don't look like those people. So with Karrion Kross, you did Karrion Kross right now. Karrion Kross yesterday knew exactly what was going to happen. Na, 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 na. Hey, 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 goodbye. That's what the fans chanted to Karrion Kross yesterday. Joe is gonna kill you. Adam Cole. They ate up Adam Cole. Look at TakeOver. WWE did everything brilliantly with that main event match. I brought it up Sunday night. They knew that Karrion Kross has not been there long enough yet, and he's not going to get a bunch of goofy gushers in the Capitol Wrestling Center that are going to do what some people do on social media. Every This Is Awesome chant that happened during that match Sunday, every Fight Forever chant that happened Sunday, every single time that happened, Karrion Kross was laid out. The other four were in there. Why? Because the other four have been there for years and years and years. It's not time yet for Karrion Kross. Even though he is champion, this is WWE's fault completely. They never established his identity. People were confused. People were confused. Do I cheer him? Do I heel him? Do I back him up? Do I this? And then he's online, and he is one of the most intelligent, the most caring, one of the most nicest people around there. And everybody knows that. And people were confused. So yesterday, they finally took a direction with Karrion Kross, something they should have done a couple of months ago. Yesterday, Karrion Kross was 100% heel. WWE finally took a direction. Now Karrion Kross has clear vision. Now, yesterday, you know what I would have done? When he hit that ring with William Regal, I brought this up yesterday. They were playing his theme music. The very last thing that you heard on the entrance music was Scarlett's voice saying, "The end is here." Karrion Kross, it's not his fault. WWE tells him what to say. That should have been the first words out of Karrion Kross's mouth. Regal, did you hear that just now? The end is here. The end is here. They didn't do that. Me, to be the ultimate asshole, William Regal, when Karrion Kross said, "Are you crying?" I would have mocked the shit out of William Regal. I would have been like, "Are you crying?" Ah! You know, because how many of you out there when you were younger, I know it's considered bullying now, but I used to do this for my brother. I'm not going to lie. I love my brother to death. But my brother, he's a couple of years younger than me, and his name is Nicky. And when he was a kid, I used to call him Nunu. I don't know where I came from, but when we were I was maybe 12 years old, and he was 10 or 9 or whatever it was, I would call him Nunu. And he'd be like, "Don't call me that." And I'm going to be like, "Nunu, Nunu, what are you crying? Nunu." And my brother would be like, "Stop!" And he would run to the other room. You have to be the ultimate asshole. Look at this dick. Joe, please, just choke him out. That'll happen. That'll happen. But yesterday, for the first time since he's champion, they finally took one direction. Now Karrion Kross will take that direction and have a ball with it. So as much as I enjoyed Samoa Joe back yesterday, and I like the slow burn, I love it. But yesterday, they helped Karrion Kross yesterday more than you could imagine. Karrion Kross no longer, when he comes out there, I hope they don't do that. You know, when the crowd is, some of them are going to chant, because the more Karrion Kross is a heel, and he is allowed to take one direction and master it, that's when the crowd will start getting into it. And then you'll hear the fall and pray chants getting louder and getting louder. And you soak it in, you don't acknowledge them, and you take it in even more. You know, when Daniel Bryan, you know, early on, you know, he was a heel. And the fans louder and louder, and the more he would go against it, they got louder and louder. Now, I'm not saying that Karrion Kross will ever be beloved like Daniel Bryan, but Daniel Bryan would say, no, no. And then fans would be like, oh, no, yes, yes. So that's what I say about the goofy gushers. Some of them truly mean well. Some of them truly, truly appreciate and are huge fans of Karrion Kross. There is no denying it. But some of these people don't understand. You're not helping someone when you tell them pretty much that they are doing no wrong whatsoever. Because people in 2021 are so fragile that how dare they have in their thought, oh my God, if I criticize him, he won't acknowledge me. He won't follow me. He may not like what I say in the future. He may block me, ban me. And I'm saying to myself, this is fucking social media. You know, act like you're fucking human being. I think people out there appreciate someone who is more right to their face, straight out, honest, whether what they're saying is good or it's bad. You know, you think there are some people in 2021, there are people in AEW, there are people in WWE, there are people out there that run the social media and soak in all of that over-the-top gushing, and they'll be like this, like The Rock. There are some wrestlers that love that. They're brought up. They're brought up in the climate. Everybody gets a participation trophy. Everybody gets a prize. Everybody is acknowledged. So they soak it in. But there's a lot more people out there who are old school still. And the old school is like, look, if you see something that I may not realize, you know, say it. Because maybe, you know, it's just an opinion, obviously. Everything I said tonight is just opinion. But, you know, I mean, for the last bunch of weeks, Karrion Kross comes out there and there's no crowd reaction at all. I mean, back in the day when we were trying to get entrance theme music and it wasn't released on CD and we couldn't find it anywhere, people used to take the versions from the live crowds and try to take out the commentators talking. And they would try to make it so perfect because that's the only version that we could get at that time. I still have themed versions of songs like that. And at the end of the day, it's like, all right, well, you know, I try to make it sound as best as I could. Karrion Kross's theme song was so crystal clear because nobody was reacting at all. You could have said, wow, I came out with the CD version of it. You know, if this was 20 years ago. People that were gushing for the last 3-4 weeks especially, that every time something was perceived as negative, they gushed, and they insisted that everything was fine. Just like what I said about the AEW, the rating. Oh, no, but 1.8 million, 1.3 million stopped by and at least looked. So what happens? The fans don't react. The fans shit on him. Then Sunday night, he retains, and there was a loud boatload of complaints online. You know, and that's not his fault. That's WWE's fault. WWE never allowed him to establish his identity. It was all over the place. And I've been talking about that for the last 2 months. Yesterday was the first time they finally made it clear. Karrion Kross is a heel. You know, I had a few people yesterday trying to convince me, no, he's a babyface. And what planet? Planet Weirdo. We might take calls. If you want to add a little bit to what I said about Karrion, I'm sorry for doing this. dribbled on myself. It's only club soda, though. You have a couple of thoughts on Karrion Kross. Agree, disagree, anything you want to add to it. Maybe we'll take some calls tonight. Because yesterday, if you look at the matches, there weren't that many matches yesterday. And, you know, it was a fun show. But most of the show was about Joe and him being back. And I love it. And again, doing a slow burn, fine. Personally, I would have no problem if Karrion Kross's next opponent is Samoa Joe. I think that will help Kross to further himself as a heel. Because Samoa Joe is, you know, it's not even just because how great he was doing commentating for WWE, and not because of his Hall of Fame career, but because a lot of people were upset when he got released. And the last vision we had of Samoa Joe was him wearing the poncho when it was raining out for WrestleMania. So he's now back. So he's got even more of a fan following right now. You don't let that go to waste. Pete Dunne doesn't need, you know, the extra heat right now. He's already a heel. Even though, yeah, Sunday night, the stare down with Pete Dunne and Karrion Kross. What did the fans do? Did they, tick-tock, no. Oh, fall and pray. No. They went bruiser weight. I'm sure for some people out there on Sunday, it was Bizarro Land for them. But again, that's because WWE never allowed Karrion Kross to build on an identity until last night. So let's see a month from now what happens. I think Karrion Kross will be just fine. Now they could start being the what was that? Natural Born Killers. They'll never. I mean, I know Kross uses some GIF files from that movie, Woody Harrelson, but you know they need to be more that couple. You know, being vicious, nasty. You know, rubbing it in people's faces, tormenting. You don't physically have to beat people up. You could emotionally dismantle people as well. So they need to be more that character. They can't look like they could be on People magazine. They can't look like, you know, they're the sexiest couple in America. You know, again, there are people on social media that live vicariously through Karrion Kross. They will live vicariously because, you know, Scarlett is a beautiful woman, obviously. But you can't look at them like, oh, they're pinup models. They could be on the cover of any magazine right now. That doesn't help him. By the way, congrats to Jon Moxley and Renee Paquette. They are proud parents of a baby girl. Much love. Very happy for them. I do know that WWE acknowledged her, but did not mention Moxley. You know, at the same point, I don't even know if AEW mentioned this publicly. By now they probably did. I don't really read into that all that much. You know, I know it might come across as petty that WWE in the tweet couldn't even mention, you know, Ambrose if they want to. You know, they just mentioned Renee. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's just be happy for them. Good for them. By the way, couple of super chats, if you don't mind. And yes, Cruiserweight, I will have you calling in. I feel bad that you actually had to super chat this, but he got the numbers from 20 to 11. I know we've been covering this on the last 2 Thursdays, but I think it's worth bringing up today because I did see who number 20 was on the WWE, like top tag teams of all time. And I'm very interested to see what teams were ranked higher than the Undisputed Era. I want to see. So Cruiserweight will be calling in a little bit for that. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Puffy89. It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. Look, I've said this before. I'll say it again here. When AEW goes back to Wednesday night in 2 weeks, they will get their 800,000 back. I think some people that saw the 1.2 million, 1.3 million, you can't, that was never supposed to be the medium, the average. You know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of someone who goes on a diet. You know, just like when AEW went, started Wednesdays solo without NXT on, when they first started doing that. That I compared that to someone who starts a diet, it doesn't weigh themselves for a week. And they think they lost maybe like a pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, because they've done pretty good for the week dieting. They go on the scale and like, oh my God, I dropped 13 pounds. Ah! And then they start thinking, oh my God, every week I'm going to drop 13 pounds. Not realizing that, well, maybe a lot of it was water weight, you know? So what happens? You know, you get a little off here, you're off there, and now I only lost 1 or I gained 1. You know, 1.3 million, 1.2 million, even 1.1 million should have never been thought of as the average. But the goofy gushers out there made it the average. So when it did 800,000, oh my God, what's wrong? No, they just try to find excuses. Oh, it was a national holiday. No, there was an earthquake. There was this, there was that, there was this, there was a playoffs, there was a... And they just get all rattled instead of just saying, okay, there's going to be weeks it's going to go higher and there's going to be weeks where it goes lower. The average, I always said the average was going to be around 800,000 viewers. And I truly believe once AEW goes back to Wednesday night, they'll get 800,000. Some weeks they'll go over 1 million. And some weeks they may go into the 6s or the 7s. It just reflects of what's on TV. That's it. But thank you, Puffy. Thank you, my friend. Neil Ray, shout out to everyone. And he is so happy that Samoa Joe is back. Look, man, he's not getting any younger. And I truly believe what I said earlier is true. That, you know, through his friends, hey, find out if, Impact may want me back. Or AEW or other places. And, you know, COVID is a big reason behind it. I mean, I don't think Joe would admit that right now because he wants to come across that, you know, this is where he always wanted to be. This is where he wanted to be. So that's what he should say. But, you know, right now, that's why some of these wrestlers like Gallows and Anderson and others are inking deals because they have the freedom that they could go here, go here, go here, and go here, and go here. You know, so, you know, when you sign someone to a deal, oh, I can't afford to pay that kind of money. All right, what if we give you this, but you could also work here, or you could do this, and you could do that. You could have your pay-per-views, your social media. You know, now it don't look so bad. It's not Forbidden Door, everyone. It's COVID. Like I said to everybody out there, 6 months from now, remember what I said. Brought up last week, I'll say it again now. 6 months from now, which will be the end of the year, let's see how much of that Forbidden Door is still open. I will bet you almost anything that by the end of the year, you will see some of these promotions not commingling with AEW. Not because there's any friction, not because there's any heat, but because they got to worry about their own backyard. They got to worry about their own backyard. And they'll still do this perception online. Oh, no. We're still open to working with each other. It's just like Nikki Bella. It was funny. I posted a retro episode on Patreon the other day, and I was going through some episodes from several years back, and reading the synopsises, one of them said Nikki Bella once again is teasing a return to the ring. And then you realize that with the exception of that Evolution pay-per-view, you know, and them insisting on putting her up against Ronda Rousey, you know, when she was pretty much done, you know, like every couple of months, she does an interview. Oh, I'm getting that itch again, everyone. I'm thinking about it, everyone. I'm getting back in the ring, everyone. Oh, pray for me, everyone. And year after year after year after year after year. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it amounts to nothing. I'm a little concerned now because she is featured on the WWE commercial. I can't wait to be on the road again. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is a WWE commercial. You're not in WWE right now. You know, you're a former independent contractor. You know, I don't know. But yes, I am very happy Joe is back. And Neil says, Soulfly had a bad day at work. Can I shout him out? Hell no. Absolutely not. Soulfly, shout out to... Of course, brother. You don't have to ask me to do that, man. I'm looking this way. I got to look this way to see your kind comments. But much love to Soulfly. He appreciates this show. The chat helps raise his spirits. That was one of my goals here, to try to keep the hate and, the heat off of these channels. I know there's a lot of negativity out there. There's a lot of hate. Look, some people call me soft. Oh, DT, you're too PC now. You're soft, this and that. No, man, I just want everybody to just get their mind off of shit and just have fun. Just because we're having fun and we're putting smiley emojis and laughing and poking fun at ourselves, that shouldn't be wrong. That shouldn't be wrong. Like I said, when I came here to YouTube and I started plugging it almost 2 years ago, I think for about 5 months, people thought, he's not really going to go. He's not going to go to YouTube. He's not going to. And then when I went in January and it started to get some traction, there were people out there that just made me feel like I was doing something tremendously wrong. Cracking jokes, mocking me, insulting me, writing shit behind my back, a lot of people. And I was like, man, I ain't ever going to fucking feel guilty for having fun. I'm not. And you see this AEW thing? There are people out there that will crack jokes about all of us wanting to get together and hanging out. I'll never forget the Jericho Cruise. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to special someone. She tunes into the show every week. She went on the Jericho Cruise. And she sent me this foam hand. This was the Jericho Cruise. She sent me this foam hand. And, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, my hair. I got a haircut today. They cut almost everything off. Look at it. It feel like I was 12 again. They cut too much hair. But she had an awesome time on the Jericho Cruise. And I saw people out online, making fun of it. Oh, it's going to be a meat market. I feel bad for the women that are going to be on the cruise. And it was funny because some of them got their asses handed to them because they had people come back to them and say, what do you mean you feel bad for the women? Not everybody's heterosexual. And then it's like, wait, so just because you go on a cruise, people immediately think they're going on there just to get laid? This isn't no hedonism cruise. They want to just enjoy some wrestling. So she sent this to me, and every time I look at this, I think about all those jerk-offs on social media that made fun of people simply because they went on the cruise to have a good time. They're the miserable bastards, man. Most of them, all they do is sit on social media and do nothing else. So, I try not to provoke them anymore. I try to ignore them online. But, you have to once in a while acknowledge them because they're toxic, man. I felt bad for Naveen. People pronounce it two different ways. I've been following her on social media for about 5 months now. Had no idea she was going to get brought up to the main roster. I like her. Mish absolutely adores her. We remembered her doing the Mae Young Classic in the last couple of years, NXT UK. We talked about her a year and a half ago when she had Bell's palsy a little bit. She came out as being bisexual also, which, we were like, okay, cool. But, we like her because she's great, in the ring. Whenever you float your boat, it's cool. And Monday, she got her ass handed to her from a lot of people out there, like mocking her because of her size. And, it's like, come on, man. She came out, Eva Marie, WWE, they trolled everybody. And the one thing Mish and I said is, I think people are mad at Piper, not because of what she looks like or, her crushing Naomi. I think they just dislike her now because they were trolled by Eva Marie. Oh, yeah, Benjamin says, you want to know something, Benjamin? I know I even joked on Twitter Monday. I said if WWE really wants to troll, they should call her Eva Marie. Maybe you just tweak a letter on there. But if you go to WWE's website, on the Superstars page, the roster, they have Piper listed under her name. Not under Eva Marie, not under that weird name that somebody pitched out there. I don't know what they're going to do with her name. But if you go on WWE.com right now and you go into the Superstars, she is still listed as Piper Niven. I want to give some shout-outs. Some of our friends tuning in live right now. Sam I Am, Krista Segovia, Darren Gordon Hill, Soulfly. Oh, Daniel-san. I don't know if Daniel-san is tuning in live right now. Daniel-san won the predictions contest Sunday. You got this giant, I know it looks like a box, but it's inside. The Johnny Gargano Triple Crown sign and frame plaque is in there. If you want it, you got to give me a shipping address. If you live overseas and it's going to be difficult for you to get it, if you want cash instead, we could always give this away to someone else. Tomorrow, we're going to do the Don Tony Show. We're going to take calls all night long. Whatever you want to talk about, it doesn't have to just be wrestling, because Thursdays, anything goes. The trivia contest tomorrow. Since you're kind enough to tune in with me tonight, especially since there's no wrestling going on, I came up with a dumb idea. And I don't want to say how I even thought of this. I know how I thought of it. But, sometimes when we do the contest on Thursdays, I do Who Dat, and I'll show you a picture of somebody early in their career, and you just have to tell me who the wrestler is. Or sometimes I'll read, like, some traits about a particular wrestler, you have to guess who the wrestler is. Or we do the theme music, and you have to guess the music. Well, now, especially since All Elite Wrestling is coming to New York, and I did not know they were coming to New York yesterday, by the way. I made a joke in Patreon. Is anybody tuning in right now in the chat room? Were you tuning in yesterday on Patreon? Do you remember what I said the contest tomorrow is going to be? Don't ask me why, and I may not end up doing this, but I have a feeling I will. But tomorrow's contest is going to be, I'll let Benjamin write it. And by the way, everyone, if you don't mind, because I know there's quite a few of you tuning in right now, if you're enjoying the show, if you could take a moment and give tonight's episode a thumbs up. The more you do that, the more YouTube is better inclined to let others know about the show. And believe me, when some of you out there say, hey, I just learned about your show, really enjoy it, I usually tell them the same thing. Thank the others who like the show, because it probably got recommended because of them. So, yes, thank you, Benjamin. Tomorrow's contest, I think, is going to be called All Elite Feet. All Elite Feet. Now, where this first came from is we think Brandy Rhodes has a complex about her feet. We think. A while back, Mish, on his Wrestling Soup, talked about Brandy's feet. Now, I've seen Brandy's feet. Not up close, but I've seen pictures. They look like feet. See nothing wrong with them. But they had a good laugh on the show, and what they talked about was funny. I'm not going to lie. They talked about Brandy's feet, and they were showing pictures of Brandy's feet, and everybody was laughing up a storm. The following week, Brandy posted some pictures of her, I think in bikini shots, and all the pictures, her feet were cut out. I kid you not. And we were laughing, and the first Patreon show that I tested video out, I wanted to test, when I sometimes, I'll post, somebody makes a comment, a super chat, I posted questions. And the first one, somebody talked about Brandy's feet, and I put a picture of Brandy's feet on the screen, and we had a good laugh out of it. So yesterday, I saw a picture of her, and, her feet were showing. And I'm like, oh, man, I could just picture having a little trivia contest and calling it All Elite Feet, that I'll show you a picture of 4 sets, not necessarily feet, but 4 sets of feet, and you have to tell me whose feet these belong to. Then I thought to myself, and I'm like, wait a minute, unless you're Mr. Fuji or Arturo Ruas. Oh, by the way, I'm surprised. Yesterday I brought it up on Patreon. Nobody realized it. Diamond Mine, next week. Diamond Mine launches. Did anybody notice the little quick cameo of Arturo Ruas. Told you. Arturo Ruas is going to be part of Diamond Mine. I don't know if Parker Boudreaux will be part of that yet because he's still very, very, very new. But yesterday, that if you go back and watch it, for a split second, you see Arturo Ruas. I'm pretty sure it was Arturo Ruas. But anyway, unless it's somebody who wrestles barefoot that has like a tattoo like on their foot or something, if I just show you some guy's bare feet, I'm not going to troll you like that. So if I do this contest tomorrow, all elite feet, I'll probably use 1 or 2 pictures of women's feet, and it'll be so fucking obvious, and not simply because of skin color. I don't want anybody to think that if I show 2 sets of black feet, you're going to be like, okay, that kind of narrows it down to like, no, I'm not doing that. But I'm going to have probably 1 or 2 pairs of wrestling boots. And I'm not going to choose generic black boots, but somebody has a style of a boot. You might see some colors on the boot that might spark it. So, and everybody that we show are going to be currently in All Elite Wrestling. So that's probably what we're going to do tomorrow. The contest will be All Elite Feet. And I'll probably put up 4 pictures, and you'll have to tell me who they are. And 2 of the 4 you'll probably get like this. All Elite Feet. Just something corny. Something different. Just to have a little bit of fun. So fly once again, my brother. I'm glad that we can all help you a little bit. This is therapeutic for me too. I'm not, not everything is hunky-dory over here. Family health and pressure, bills, stuff going on. But, this is a big, outlet for me also. So if we could all, just have a little fun for a little while, and believe me, so many people have been telling me, oh, you should do this, you should change this, or you should go this, and you'll get so many more people tuning in. And I'm like, no, man, we just have fun. Wherever the shows go, they go, Harris B, Sunday will mark 9 years since the first episode of NXT as a developmental brand. Did I watch NXT at the time? What did I think of the change? Well, obviously I was not expecting your question. So I don't want anybody, I obviously can't pull research, but I will tell you that what I remember, and what I'm saying might not be 100% accurate, but, my memory, I think this is pretty accurate though. We had ECW. And, even though the first episode for ECW, WWE's version, was kind of telling, even though my buddy, my hotline partner, my friend who is no longer with us, was the first ever person on ECW, which is an awesome Trivia Pursuit Contest question. Still pisses me off this day that people out there don't even put his correct last name. And, I don't hold grudges anymore with other websites, but I'll never forget Mike Johnson, that asshole. I don't think he's an asshole anymore. But when Timmy died and he posted his name, I sent him an email. I'm like, look, I know we don't get along or anything, but, I handled all the Timmy's insurance. I said, I have his license in front of me. I said, I took care of his accidents. I said, I took care of his girlfriend at the time. I said, this is his last name. Do you know Mike Johnson never corrected the name? Because I guess he didn't want to put, thanks to Anthony DeBlasi for the correction. That's what I've been dealing with since 1997. You don't correct someone's name who died because you don't like the person who gave you the correction. That's just ridiculous. So, getting back to this, ECW ended up being a disaster. Not all of it was a disaster. There's quite a few matches. Some of CM Punk stuff was great. Morrison stuff was great. Big Show once in a while, I actually enjoyed some of his stuff. But it turned into a joke towards the end, obviously. And then, RVD and Sabu both getting suspended, getting arrested, which was terrible as well. Obviously that's 15 years ago. So, 15 years ago. But my point is, over those couple of years, oh, you're very welcome, Darren. Thank you, my friend. But ECW, we got so angry at how much of a joke WWE turned it into. And then I remember WWE, I don't know if it was Vince that made the announcement that ECW was pretty much going to be done. And then in its place ultimately was going to be the NXT competitions. They were going to do, the first one, and I think it was the Nexus was in the first one, and ECW was done, and then they started to do like the NXT stuff. And even though there was some names that we knew over those couple of years, it still pissed us off because it's like, you totally killed this promotion and killed a whole bunch of people in the process, the careers. Now they're jumping to this. So a lot of people, and you know what, it was unfair. It was definitely unfair. And I could compare it to, I'll compare it to this. Eva Marie on TV, Mickie James fired. How many of you read those tweets over the last couple of months? They let Mickie James go, but they hire Eva Marie. They let this person go, but they bring this person in. And you can't compare the two because everybody's role in the company is a different one. Everybody's role is different. Just because they let this person go and hire this person doesn't mean that this person was brought in to replace this person. There's certain roles that people need to fill. If you have too much of one type of role, you might trim that back and try to build on a different type of role. Same thing with this. It's not that NXT was replacing ECW, but for a lot of us, it felt that way. And it took a long time. It took a long time for us to accept it. Shout out to Sam. If I see the chat, I'll acknowledge you. People understand why I say it twice, right? So eventually everybody will get it. But yeah, shout out to Sam. Sam, I shouted you out before. You were the first person I shouted when I was mentioning names, Sam. But that's Harris. That's what I remember. So once it became its own brand, the early episodes, it was interesting. I mean, the early episodes, I think of Seth Rollins, obviously. I think of Bray Wyatt, the fish boat. My dad was from a fish boat. He was trying to do the Forrest Gump stuff. We played the promo here once. I mean, the early NXT was very, very raw, but, it felt a little bit different. It didn't feel cartoony. And little by little, we would accept it a little bit more. And you know what? Crazy Cruiserweight suggested I post this. And I'm posting it on Patreon. And for the channel members here, I'm going to be putting up a section where you could access a server to get episodes too. But it's funny, I'm going to post Friday the episode that we did when the Signature Pharmacy scandal happened in 2007, where WWE had all those crazy-ass suspensions from the Signature Pharmacy. And it's like 3.5 hours. And some people that remember the episode said it was one of the best ones ever. And it was funny, I was looking at the synopsis, and I was wondering if a wrestler called Sheamus O'Shaughnessy was ever going to make it in WWE. Sheamus O'Shaughnessy. I wonder if how many people out there remember Sheamus's last name. In fact, that's going to be, just give you a little heads up, that is going to be an upcoming contest. We're going to give a bunch of last names for people, or first names, and then you will have to tell me what the name goes with it. Like if I say to you, Antonio. Now, there's been some Antonios in wrestling. They never ditched that name, like Antonio Inoki. They never ditched the name, so you don't choose Inoki. But when I say Antonio, there's a wrestler on TV right now. Yeah, see? Harris got it. Antonio Cesaro. I wonder how many people out there even remember that Cesaro's first name was Antonio. Antonio. There's some names out there that if I throw them out there, people are going to have brain farts. They're going to be like, oh, I know. That's it, brain fart. They're not going to win the contest. So that's going to be coming up in the near future. So, Guardian of Chaos. He appreciates my unique style. He's a fan. I am a fan as well. And, you know, when I wrote that little collab, you know, I'm going to start that very, very soon. I got the Zoom software pretty much down pat. And I want to definitely do like a little round table thing. You know, the problem is, not going to lie to you, there's a lot of podcasters out there who claim to be my friend, and they will not be part of it. You watch. There are some people out there that, I'll just say it, they're so greedy about the people that tune into their shows that if I tap into some of their audience, I'm evil. I'm the bad person. And obviously, you know, that's not the case. I've been doing it since 97, you know, so if people decide, I'm fine if everybody tunes into everybody's shows. That's it, you know. But for some reason out there, some people take it as a threat. I care less. So I want to do that. The big question is who's actually going to be part of it. So we'll do that soon. And I appreciate you tuning in. I really do. More than you know, it's it's your kind words like that that really make this like even more of an incentive to do. You know, it's pretty funny. My fiance's a wrestling fan, but she's not a hardcore wrestling fan, and she tunes into some of these shows sometimes, and she's like, why do these people tune into you? Why are these people like that? I showed her the Lucky 13 video, and she's like, I don't get it. I think she does. I just think she just doesn't want to admit it. And again, I really hope that a lot of you could come down. If you're tuning in late today, 3 months from now, September 22nd, consider it Lucky 13 Part 2. We're going to have a big get-together. We're all going to hang out. Even if you're not an AEW fan, if you could come down that Wednesday, and if anybody needs any help with transportation or anything like that, it is so easy to get to this place. I actually thought about it earlier. When I used to do the bus trips for XPW and then for USA Pro, and a lot of people still don't even know that story, that I was supposed to do the bus trips for Hardcore Homecoming. The ECW reunion show that they did to go up against One Night Stand, I was supposed to do the bus trips for that. I backed out because of that Mike Johnson troll. But few people said to me today, DT, why don't you do a bus trip? And I'm like, it's actually not a bad idea because I actually still have all my connections. I don't think Coach USA handles this area anymore, but there's other bus companies that I could get in touch with, and might do that too. So I hope you all could turn out. And again, there's going to be a lot of people. I'm assuming JD from New York is going. And I'm assuming that Jason, if he could get off work, he's going as well. I already asked Mish and Joey Numbers. It's a little difficult because of where they live in the schedule. Plus, the middle of the week, it's kind of crazy. Some others I reached out to as well. Some of you told me to reach out to the Minority Report guys if they want to get together. I've hung out with Joey 924 and Black Moses before. So, we've been around each other. Some others that some people suggested, you're just grasping for straws. There are people out there that, like I said, they'll lead you on up until the day of, and then there'll be some excuse. I only want to focus on the people that legitimately want to get together because that Lucky 13 was so special. And, if we could all hang out and just have a blast that night and have fun and take in some wrestling, even if you don't like AEW. Just imagine all of us hanging out, having our own section, just having a great time. Hell, they got even those like VIP booths, like those, those little rooms or whatever. I know they sit like 20, 30 people. If our group is small enough, I might just get one or two of those VIP booths, the suites that they have back to back. And then we'll have them serve us like fruits and vegetables. So I'm serious. I'm dead serious. Because if I thought Lucky 13 was that special, we got to do this. We have to do it. I think a lot of people would know Elias Sampson, Darren. If I said Sampson, I think some people would say Elias. Trust me, I have some doozies. Not all of them are wrestling right now, but have wrestled over the last 10, 15 years, so we'll see. We'll see. VJ, have I seen You Can't Kill David Arquette yet? No, I have not. I give him a lot of credit for having that match with Nick Gage. You know, him being a WCW champion, some people call it the biggest farce in the history of wrestling. I personally think Nicholas winning the tag team championship was the biggest farce in wrestling. And I will tell you, I brought this up when I did This Week in Wrestling History. You're welcome to check it out. You go back and you look at the newspapers that time when David Arquette won the championship. Almost nobody ripped the shit out of it. The movie Ready to Rumble was coming out. They got a crazy amount of publicity off of it. Then we found out later about David Arquette donating his money. What was it? Was it for the Pillman family? I know he donated his money. But it was not, look, on TV, storyline, it was not very good because there was so many title changes going on at that time. I mean, David Arquette was a little cog in a wheel of a ton of problems in WCW. But it didn't get lambasted the way people bring it across now. It got a crazy amount of publicity. And he dropped the title almost immediately after. They didn't keep it on him for a bunch of months. You know, so I appreciate David Arquette a little bit more than others. He at least tried, had the balls to, and put all his effort into it. May not have been extremely good, but, you know, to be labeled as the worst moment in the history of wrestling, I think that's a little bit much. But, you know, that misery loves company. You know, if it sounds good and you see trillions of people all flocking to say the same thing, you're going to see people more inclined to also say it as well. So, I've seen the rise and fall of WCW. You know, I've seen the spectacular AWA, the rise and fall of ECW. I lived through it. I watched it. I covered it. I had my hotline when Arquette won. You know, I don't remember. I mean, we were like, David Arquette? But, you know, we understood the movie, the promotion. He lost it almost immediately. And there was so many title changes going on that, you know, honestly, as much as I love Vince Russo, I've never left the bandwagon of Vince Russo. Never left. When he won it, that was not very good. You know, didn't he get speared through the cage or something? And he had the helmet on. He had the Giants jersey, I think. Wasn't that it? And he won the title. And as much as I love Vince Russo, trust me, that night I wasn't like, fuck you, all you haters, Vince. No, I was like, I don't like that very much. I don't think, some of you out there say that too. The AWA documentary was fun. It was definitely fun. But the David Arquette, I have not seen that yet. Now you got my curiosity a little bit. You got my curiosity a little bit, so I think I am going to check that out. No joke. You know, it's early still. It's 9:48 p.m. Obviously, we're going to end this early today because tomorrow we got the Don Tony Show. We'll take a couple of calls. I know Cruiserweight wants to call in about the tag teams and stuff. You know, we'll talk a little bit more about NXT because obviously Wednesday Night Dynamite is supposed to be everything but WWE. But yesterday, like I said, most of it was about Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross. Ciampa and Thatcher appear to be the next opponents for MSK's title. I think it's a wise way to go because Thatcher and Ciampa, they just click. The fans are into them. And Ciampa and Thatcher will sell for $1 million for these guys. These guys will also sell for Thatcher and Ciampa. I don't feel MSK are going to lose the belts right now. I wouldn't have any problem if they did, though. I'd like to see Thatcher and Ciampa have the belts for at least one time, have one run. But I think Ciampa and Thatcher will be the right team to help elevate MSK to be a little bit more accepted by the fans. So I'm actually looking forward to that. But the Grizzled Young Veterans, when is soon no longer soon? How many matches do they get? How many main events do they get? How many number one contenders matches they get? How many tournaments do they get? We're going to be soon. And all this is years now. Soon what? Soon. You know what I laughed about yesterday? We joked over the weekend, again, about one of the members looking like he's dressed up as Attitude Era Shawn Michaels for Halloween. And what are you dressed up as, son? Suck it. Suck it. Did you see them come out for their promo yesterday? His hair was perfectly paced back. I'm like, you don't look like Attitude Era Shawn Michaels right now. I can't even recognize him. And I'm like, man, that would be funny. But later on, he came out dressed like that. Somebody, yes, Harris, I did see your email about Rob Black wanting to crown a new XPW champion. I don't think so. I don't think so. We talked about that last week. I think SoFly brought up that question. Right now, XPW is not needed during COVID. I know we're getting out of it, but there's so many promotions that are going to scrape and claw for 50 people. I mean, it's just, look, obviously I have fond memories of XPW. I had the privilege to do some work for them. But even I would say it. Like, who is going to welcome that with open arms? I still bring this up to this day. There were people that, a lot of you don't know this. There were people that worked behind the scenes for XPW, and everybody on the net was trying to get XPW banned from Philly and do everything they can to get XPW shut down. And XPW stopped, and then Wrestling Society X came around. A lot of the same names that worked behind the scenes for XPW also worked for Wrestling Society X. And there's one guy, I won't reveal his name unless he wants to reveal it in an interview, but there was one guy pretty high up, was not a wrestler, worked behind the scenes for XPW, very important person, and he would talk about all of these websites, One Wrestling, PWBTS.com, others, doing everything they can to get XPW ruined. And then Wrestling Society X came around, and the same people online, those websites, were praising the shit out of Wrestling Society X. And I remember him talking to a bunch of us on a conference call, talking about other things, because I was friends with some people in afterwards. And I remember him on the phone saying, look at this motherfucker. A couple of years earlier, he's trying to shut us down, get this banned, get this. And now he's kissing my ass, wanting comps, wanting interviews, wanting this. And he's like, puh. He said it right on the phone. Puh. Wasn't the Iron Sheik. Ha, puh. But that's what people did. You had these people who did everything they could to get XPW shut down that tried to ruin them. Now they were going to these same people and kissing their asses because they loved Wrestling Society X. Ridiculous, man. And if you go on Wayback Machine and you go on my website, you do some searches, you could actually see a lot of articles that I talked about at that time. But again, I always go against the grain. That's not popular. I will not conform. It's almost like Roddy Piper's movie, They Live. I put on these glasses, it doesn't change anything. I will not conform. Till I'm done with these shows, I will be the same brutally honest, blunt person. And it rubs some people the wrong way. Nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do about it. Yesterday, Breezango versus Imperium. Breezango gets the surprise win. Doesn't feel like Breezango's got any momentum. We've talked about it with the ratings. WWE ruined that team. They're better for like outside the ring segments. I kind of wish Breezango was doing whatever Rise is doing with the podcast stuff, but we're not getting that. Imperium laying them out afterwards. You know, it's just WWE trying to get Imperium's heat back. You know, without Walter, I don't know how much they'll ever be received by the fans here in the States. I just don't feel it. I have the same feelings about Imperium minus Walter as I do about the Grizzled Young Veterans. So, Kushida beating Trey Baxter, that was pretty good. What was his name before? Blake Michaels? Was that it? He was in Impact for a very short time. He was in Evolve. He's actually extremely talented. In fact, if you remember, when I covered the signees, you remember the episode where WWE announced their latest developmental class? Blake Christian. Blake Michaels. Blake Christian. Thank you. Bully Blake. Blake Christian. Blake Michaels. Remember the episode? We covered all the people that signed. I remember Zoe Stark specifically. You go back to that episode, I actually talked about him in detail. And he's extremely talented. Kind of reminds me of, what the hell's his name? Oh, you guys got to help me for a minute. Now I'm having a brain fart because it's getting a little bit late over here. Not Pete Dunne. Tyler Bate. Never mind. I don't need you. Tyler Bate. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Tyler Bate. A little bit taller, a little more athletic. Kind of reminds me of Tyler Bate. You know, even with the look a little bit. Reminds me of Tyler Bate. Kurt Stallion, Stan Lee. Is Stan Lee a comic book person? So Kushida beats Trey Baxter. That's his new name. It was a fun match. Next week we're getting Kyle O'Reilly versus Kushida. I expect that to end in a bullshit finish because Adam Cole will probably get involved. Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai beating Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro. I think they're continuing to slowly plant the seed of the split with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Maybe they do become tag champs again. I don't think so, but this split's coming. I think it's going to happen soon enough. This storyline that they refuse to come to a conclusion with Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis is almost to the point now of ridiculousness. This is Emelina territory. I mean, just go to the next level with this. Have the kiss, get laid, get a blowjob in the back, go to the movies, have cake, let Dexter Lumis sit. Maybe Dexter Lumis's first words could be, I love you. Do something. You know, every week, is he around? He likes me. He hates me. He likes me. Look at this picture. Oh, my God. What are they, 9? Shit. Dexter Lumis was my favorite wrestler in NXT. And now it's slowly going away because it's like, come on, man, stop milking this shit. Can you imagine if that was like a weekly soap opera? Two people kind of like fell in love with each other. And every week, like one person shows up. Hey, is Dexter here? No, he's not. Oh. And a week later, you know, Dexter being the mute, he's just looking around. Indy's not here. Oh. Then the next week, no mention at all. Oh. My God. Seriously, you want to change a little bit of the aura of NXT? Fucking put this together. I mean, finish this shit already. What are you going to do? They're going to be like 50 years old, and they're still going to like, you know what's going to happen? Oh, no, I can't go there. I was going to say Dexter Lumis is going to end up getting like to 50 years old. He's going to have a ton of arthritis, and when he draws, he's going to be like, let me see. Sorry, I got to use the beat. No, I don't want to ruin that. I was going to actually put that up the other day. Yeah, we could use this instead. Here. This is, sorry for the audio only people. Okay. This is 2021. And then this is 2051. So right now, this is Dexter Lumis. Even though he doesn't talk, he's going to be like, Indy, I drew a picture of you. I drew a picture of you. They're going to milk this storyline for like 30 years. It's going to be 2051. And Dexter Lumis is going to be like, I drew a picture of you. You like it? Poppy is going to be like, Poopy. Hey, everybody, I poopied my pants. I poppied my pants. End this shit already, please. It's getting a headache. One Fall's like, yeah, the show. End the show already tonight. Ciampa and Thatcher over the Grizzled Young Veterans. And again, the Grizzled Young Veterans, you watch, you will see a comedy storyline with them soon. For real. You're going to see something comedic happen. That's going to be, I called that with FTR back in the day, the Revival. Remember that? Revival, they're trying to do this stuff with Orton and stuff, and I'm like, they're going to do comedy. They can't resist. They're going to do something asinine and goofy to try to make them over as funny. And then they did this stuff. Dumb, man. I love the main event, though. I mean, look, as much as I can't get into the Grizzled Young Veterans, there's no denying they are extremely talented. They work wonderful with Ciampa and Thatcher. I'm telling you, when a lot of people made fun of Thatcher looking old, and then they turned it into a storyline that he's, technically he's the grizzled old veteran. Thatcher is in incredible shape. I mean, if you actually look at Thatcher, I'm not attracted to his body, obviously, but I envy it. You look at his body for that age and how he's moving around. I mean, he's kind of like almost cruiserweight level. The guy just looks like he's having fun. And I know that might sound a little bit ridiculous, but there are some wrestlers that you see out in the ring, and you just get this feeling like, man, he looks like he's having fun right now. And it's not even like the Mick Foley fun, where he's getting chair bashed and he's got his guts hanging out of his head and he's like, I love this. And Mick Foley, obviously, is one of my favorite of all time. In fact, that's why I got this. I wanted to put this in the background somewhere, put a little Beyond the Mat back there because, that movie was pretty epic at that time. So the Grizzled Young Veterans, I don't know what you do, but obviously they're not connecting with the fans. But they are a great compliment for other wrestlers. But I think it might be time to keep them off TV for a little while. I truly believe. You know what I think? Keep them off TV for a couple of weeks, and we might end up seeing a segment with them outside the ring, and they might do comedy. I'm not saying that that's the answer, but I just have this feeling you're going to see some type of comedy instilled. We're getting consistently over and over and over and over and over again. Trust me, someone is like, enough. We don't know what the battery charging is for yet. There's some rumors out there. I got to think about it a little bit further. I got to think about it, but I want to see what happens with Diamond Mine next week. I want to see who shows up. I think it's going to be a faction, and I know some of you right now are going to be like, duh, but I think they need to put a faction together because Imperium is scattered because of no Walter. Undisputed Era is done as a faction. Even when they had Lorcan, Birch, Dunn, and McAfee together. McAfee is now SmackDown commentator, and you have Birch out with an injury. So even that group is kind of, scattered. So we'll see. We'll see. You know, look, could Roderick Strong could possibly be part of it. Like I said, Parker Boudreaux could be part of it. Arturo Ruas, I could swear I saw him yesterday. You know, the guy actually could work pretty good. I wonder if it's going to have any feel of Raw Underground. Imagine if Shane McMahon was part of it. Not insinuating. Not insinuating. By the way, I mentioned this the other day. I want to mention it here. You know, a lot of people were curious about SummerSlam taking place on a Saturday this year. Was it August 21st, I think is the date? And people were wondering why? No, we don't know. I mean, logistics-wise, you know, it might just be easier to have it on a Saturday and fans go home on a Sunday. You know what I mean? So it could be the building itself. But now it appears that NXT TakeOver may take place the day after SummerSlam. So we may actually get SummerSlam on a Saturday and TakeOver on a Sunday, which would be a very draining weekend when you think about it. That's going to be a pretty draining weekend because SummerSlam, you've heard me say this 1,000 times over the last 2 or 3 months, that WWE was going to make SummerSlam this year's WrestleMania. Once they knew they were getting the live fans back, they postponed some returns that we were supposed to get in April. They postponed some storyline shifts that were supposed to happen in April. They postponed and delayed some swerves and turns that were supposed to happen in April. Now they're happening in July and August. So that's going to be a pretty busy weekend. Pretty busy weekend. NXT, like I said earlier, drew 695 yesterday. I think that is a very disappointing number. Coming off TakeOver, coming off William Regal's announcement that everybody was talking about, coming off the rumor that Samoa Joe was going to show up, and you only go up 26,000 viewers. It's not that good. I think what it comes down to is you got your hardcore NXT fans and a very small number of casual fans that want to tune in. You had 8 and change when you first went to Tuesday. And, you know, losing 120,000 viewers may not sound all that much, but, you know, it is a decent number. And, you know, this is something I don't think people realize. And Mish was spot on with this. Mish was spot on with this. He said, with these two companies going on separate nights, their ratings are going to be damaged because, and I've talked about this in a different way, that no longer could you just channel surf, and if one that you weren't feeling one of the shows, you could watch the other one since they were both on at the same time. Now you only have one choice. You either watch wrestling or you don't. And just so you know, NXT's ratings this year so far compared to last year. Last year, they're in COVID. And even take into an account that last year might have even been worse because there was so much unknown. They didn't even have fans in there for a while. And there was a lot of people that weren't performing. Do you know their rating this year? They are down about 100,000 viewers in 2021 compared to 2020. And this year you have a couple of months unopposed. You would think that their viewer numbers should be higher compared to last year because now you got a boatload of AEW fans that have no wrestling to watch on Tuesday. Hey, let me go check out a little NXT. They got some good guys there that you wouldn't mind see them wrestling in an AEW if they could. And you can't even get them to tune in. So no matter what you do right now, I don't think you're going to have crazy influx of numbers. Great American Bash will score high because Great American Bash, every match will have a crazy-ass pay-per-view feel to it. So I wouldn't be surprised they do 900,000 for the Great American Bash. Let's get more matches announced first. So, By the way, Cody today announced that he is launching a non-wrestling podcast. It's called the Everything But Wrestling Podcast. And some of his quotes, he talked about how he will speak with friends, family, and colleagues about everything. The first season of episodes will feature Star Wars fandom, Fandom 5, Trek fandom, B&M, Potter houses, The Office, and some other topics. I think they announced that Sheeta and Nyla Rose are going to be on there for some episodes. So, yeah, I know it's not very original, but you know what, man? Look at Jeff Jarrett. I mean, I don't have the time to listen to his podcast, watch it right now, but I'm hearing nothing but praise from a lot of people that I frequent with. And a lot of us did not like Jeff Jarrett for a very long time. And they're saying, man, of all the podcasts that Conrad does, they love the Jeff Jarrett one the most. Who would have ever thought that? It just happens. So for Cody to talk about, look, let's be honest. Talking about random topics is the laziest podcast you could do. You know, when I do this, I'm not trying to compare me to them, but when I do this show, I have pages of notes. I research numbers. I put things together. I try to, if I just sat here and say, hey, everybody, next week, we're going to talk about the Junkyard Dog. Oh, do you remember when he wrestled Terry Funk? That's the laziest of podcasts. Putting it together is not easy. It's not easy. So when you hear, Cody saying everything but wrestling, they're not going to just say, oh, you remember when we went to see Star Wars? You remember that bucket of popcorn that I dropped on your lap and I purposely smeared the butter all over your pants? No, they're going to get into topics that a lot of AEW fans, look, this is designed for AEW fans that want to talk about everything but wrestling, because life is not just wrestling. So that's what Cody's intentions are. What'll happen is wrestling will always trickle in some way, shape, or form. Look at the guests. The guests are wrestlers. But that's what the fans want to see. They want to see their favorites in AEW talk about other topics that they enjoy as well. So, good for him. Seriously. I think the podcast is an interesting project. It's not going to be easy to do, but that's smart. The one thing, that's very important with podcasts is you do the shows based on what your audience wants. Now, as you go through years, you get a feel of what your audience wants. Feedback is obviously crucial, but you do it based on what they want. You focus on what they want. If you notice, unless it's really brought up or it's a super chat, I don't talk politics at all anymore. A couple of years ago, 5 years ago, people were complaining stop fucking talking about politics and Trump and all this other stuff. So, you listen, but you got to do the shows based on what your audience wants, not what you want to do because it's easy. You know what I mean? Because trust me, yesterday, it was funny. Yesterday, Mish and I did Patreon. We were on for 3 hours. And the opening segment, he and I talked about when we used to go to record stores back in the day. And every little intricate detail about going on the subway and buying tons of white label records that you didn't even know what was on them and lugging them home and shopping bags and tearing it through and going to stores and having people show up and this. And people were blown away by it. And in fact, Cruiserweight and a few others are like, dude, you got to put this out there for everybody to enjoy. That's how epic the conversation was. Number one, we had no intention on talking about that. I didn't call Mish and say, hey, let's talk about records. It's just weird how it got to that. But based on everybody's reaction yesterday and the conversation, it went on for about 30 minutes, and everybody that tuned in loved it, even young fans that never bought a record in their life. You have to do based on what your audience wants. And Cody is targeting the wrestling fans that want to talk about everything but wrestling sometimes. A lot of mutual interest. So it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. So with that said, I'm looking around. You know, we got AEW on Friday. You know, we'll talk about it tomorrow. We got the preview tomorrow. I want to give a shout out to Nick Kassman, who is our latest member of the family. And yes, Nick, I got your name on here. I didn't forget. You are first on the list. So welcome aboard, my friend. If you all want me to take some calls, I'll take some calls for about 20 minutes. Remember, tomorrow night, and I wasn't doing calls today. The only reason why I decided to do it is because I thought, okay, maybe some of you want to talk about the Karrion Kross topic, Samoa Joe. I know Cruiserweight wants to talk about the tag teams, and, you know, like I said, we've been doing it the last 2 Thursdays, but if he wants to call in and bring it up tonight, I'm curious because, like I said, Undisputed Era, they ranked him number 20. So I want to see who is ranked higher than him to see if anything sounds a little ridiculous. But tomorrow night, we'll have calls for well over an hour to an hour and a half. So tomorrow, we'll have plenty of time to talk about whatever you want. So if you want to call in today, absolutely. But let's try to keep it on the AEW NXT topics. And, you know, I don't mean this in any derogatory way, but this was one of the reasons why we stopped doing calls years ago, is because I know some people want to call in just to call in. And trust me, we appreciate that. But, you know, we don't want to run into the same repetitive over and over again. If there's a particular question or a topic that is really busting your buns that you want to talk about, then, yeah, you know, absolutely call in. But, all right, so let me do this, and I'll shout out our channel members in a moment. Let's switch that back, all right? Yeah, I'm starting to get the feel for it. That is the regular number if you want to call in, 225-DON-TONY or 225-366-8669. And, yes, I launched the toll-free number. It is 833-DON-VMVM. Or 833-366-8686. We're still using the phone. Ultimately, the calls will be on here, the tablet. I have some pretty good software now. I just have to learn it. Once I get that software down, we'll be able to take calls. And like I said, from now on, I think we're going to leave calls Monday, Thursday. This way, people look forward to those special nights to be able to call in. And especially Monday, it'll be easier because I could use different software and we could actually screen a little bit. And there's a really cool board that, you know, you'll see it. You'll see it. So what I will do right now is I will remove the Do Not Disturb. The software has still got quirks, but I think I got it down pat now. So let's try it out. Good evening. You are on. Who is this?
This is Crazy Cruiserweight, DT.
First. I got to say, you know, should I save your number as a contact? So this way on my screen it says Cruiserweight so I know it's you?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. All right, I'm not going to, like, put it on block or anything like that. So if you start, like, not getting through, I don't want you to be like, he fucking shadow banned me. No, but this way, you know, that goes out to any of you. If you want to DM me with your number, I will put it on a contacts list. This way, if somebody calls in, nobody will see your number, but, you know, instead I'll see your name, and I'll be like, oh, blah, blah, blah is calling in. So we could do that way. So that might be easier for some of you. You might even have an easier chance of calling in. But anyway, so you got, what numbers do you have tonight as far as the tag teams go?
We are at number 22-11 now. Okay. The top 10 is next week. So
number 20 is the Undisputed Era. That I know.
Yeah. Yes. Number 19 is the Soul Patrol of Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas. Number 18, Mr. Fuji and Toru Tanaka. Yeah. Number 17, the Steiner Brothers.
Wow.
Number
that's
16,
low.
Number 16, the Rock and Sock Connection. Number 15, the Wild Samoans. Number 14, the Rockers. Number 13, the Mega Powers. Number 12, the Valiant Brothers. And number 11, Demolition.
Okay, my immediate thoughts about it is I love these two guys as a tag team. Well, I loved Terry Funk and Cactus also, but the Rock and Sock Connection were not around long enough. It is a special moment of our history as a wrestling fan. The Rock and Sock Connection has no business being in the top 20 of the greatest tag teams of all time. That is bullshit. That is awful. Putting Demolition out of the top 10, they really have to impress me with that top 10.
Yeah.
I also feel there was another team the Rockers. Okay, the Rockers. Yeah. Listen.
Yeah.
I want everybody to understand this. Please, don't get upset at me when I say this. What you do before you get mad at me is I want you all to go and do a Google search and type in the Rockers match listing. There is one particular website that shows all the matches that the Rockers had as a tag team in the WWF. And I will almost bet the ranch that the Rockers probably lost more matches than they won. The Rockers were more considered as a babyface jobber team at the time. Shawn Michaels, obviously turned out to be one of the greatest that ever lived. Marty Jannetty was extremely talented as well. But the Rockers, as far as WWF goes, I mean, that is insane to put them that high on the list. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So what we don't have so far, you notice the Usos haven't been brought up on this list.
Yeah.
The New Day, Hart Foundation, Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys, the Hardys, New Age Outlaws, LOD, the Bulldogs. I'm assuming the Brothers of Destruction might get on there. They never mentioned the Brainbusters, Owen and Yoko, or Shawn and Diesel. So
you just named more than 10 teams.
I know, but these are the teams that haven't made the list yet.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So the teams you just named, some of those names, I want everybody to think about that. Did you write down the names you just said?
Yeah, I wrote down.
The reason why I ask is, everyone, think about this. I want you to read the teams you just said and read it again. And as you hear this again, think about it, that by next week, you're going to find out that some of these teams WWE felt was not even in the top 50. What was the teams you just said again?
So these are the teams that haven't made the list as of yet. We don't know 10 to 1. We have the New Day still, the Usos, the Hart Foundation, Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, the Hardys, the New Age Outlaws, the Legion of Doom, the Bulldogs, the Brothers of Destruction, the Brainbusters I mentioned, Owen and Yoko, and Shawn and Diesel. They're not honorable mentions. They haven't been put on the list as of yet.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, Harlem Heat was not in WWF, EJ.
Yeah. No, this is only WWE, like WWF, and 50 years. So you can't. So there's no WCW or ECW teams on this thing. So
did they have Fuji and Saito on there?
Mr. Fuji, it's only Fuji and Toru Tanaka.
Wow. So no love for Saito. Not even in the top 50. At the end of this list is going to be a lot of bullshit. And simply because they insisted on putting some teams on there. Like I said, I'm not trying to single out the Rock and Sock Connection. I loved the stuff they did. But, they were not a tag team long enough to be considered in the top 20 of the greatest of all time. Memories, moments, yes. But as far as, that's just asinine. That's just asinine.
Right. Well, you predate me by many years, but the Mega Powers made this list. Well, how do you feel about that?
I don't think the Mega Powers should be that high either, because they were more of a put-together tag team. They were put together for the WrestleMania 5 match. They were not put together to win tag team titles and have a run and be one of the greatest tag teams of all time. They were put together for their WrestleMania 5 main event. That's it. The Mega Powers explode. That's all it was.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't even be on that list that high. I tell you, man, if they don't put the Brainbusters in there and be that petty about it, oh man, that's awful.
I mean, the Steiners at 17. I would have thought at least the Steiners would have been like 11 to 15 at least.
Yeah.
That's just me. But to see Demolition not crack the top 10, that's like a slap in the face to them, really.
Well, look, you named 12 tag teams, and honestly, if you put 10 of those 12 tag teams before Demolition, I really would not have a problem with it. Like if you said the New Age Outlaws or the Dudleys or Edge of Christian or Hardys, even maybe the Usos, it's borderline. Brainbusters I would not put before Demolition. Brainbusters should have been in the 20s.
Top 20. Yeah, the 20s, like the 20s to the 30s spot, really.
Well, once they come out with this final 10, that's when I'll do my research.
If you want me to call in that Wednesday.
Yeah, I definitely call in.
Wait until the Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll call in.
We'll call in, and then what'll happen is the following week, I will give you a list of teams that were omitted in the top 50 that should have been in the top 50. There'll be some interesting ones, and I'm telling you, there's some teams out there that we're not even thinking about right now that when we remember, we're like, oh shit, yeah, they're not on the list at all, so we're gonna be able to come up with some pretty big ones. They didn't
even mention Nexus. I think it was it David Otunga and Heath Slater?
Oh yeah, they didn't mention them?
Yeah, they didn't mention them. They didn't put them in here. They only put 2 NXT teams in here. The Street Profits are main roster now, but DIY, and then you have the Undisputed Era at the top 20. So I think you should be happy that MSK didn't get ranked in here.
Yeah, actually, that's what
we don't know what's going to happen next week. So
they won't be. No, they won't be that. That's guaranteed. But you know what? Good. Because I said that right at the beginning. I said, look, nothing against MSK and others, but they have no business being in the top 50.
But yeah, it's like, it's more so, it's the last 50 years. So it's like, if you don't include a tag team from NXT, I think there would be also a problem with somebody who's not like around your age, but I could see like, okay, there's like, it's like a big disconnect there.
Let me ask you this. I don't recall this. Did they say top 50 men's tag teams or just top 50 tag teams?
They said WWE is the greatest 50 tag team. So
why is Bayley and Sasha Banks not in there?
True.
Why is LeCool not in there?
Right.
Just thinking of 2 right off the bat.
Right.
No, I think Bayley and Sasha Banks should be in there.
Right.
So, we're going to come up with a pretty big list of tag teams that we're going to go back and be like, wow.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. I think we just haven't thought about them yet right now. Hell, I would have put Booker T and Goldust before the Rock and Sock Connection.
You know what? Yes. Yeah. You know what? Wow. We're really thinking now we're really just thinking about some of those teams now, and it's like, I mean, you can't even mention Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, but for obvious reasons. But I get that. They didn't even mention when Big Show and Kane were a tag team as well. Yeah. So, which is interesting. But they were a dominant tag team from what I remember.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, like I said, we'll see what the final 10 are. And then we'll then start focusing on the list of teams that were left out. And then you realize how stupid. I don't know why. It almost feels like I don't want to speculate, but if there's one particular tag team, I got to see if the Brainbusters are on there. If the Brainbusters are not on there, it almost feels like WWE put this list together as just a conversation piece, but also to just give a fuck you to some people who are in AEW.
Right. Or remember from the concussion lawsuit many years back. I mean, why is Demolition at number 11? Because they were on that concussion lawsuit list.
Yeah, it's true. But that lawsuit was dropped too, so.
Yeah, I know. I know it was, but I'm just like, It says something when you put Demolition at number 11.
Yeah. Well, that's why I want to see what the 10 is. I may not have too much of a problem with the 10, but, obviously the couple of teams you just mentioned will not be on there, which means that WWE didn't even think they were in the top 50. And that's pretty sad. So,
I mean, the Bushwhackers didn't even win. Well, the Bushwhackers were at number 50, so.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would have probably put Goldust and Booker T like in the 30s the 30 section, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what we'll still wait and see. We will wait and see on that one. That's just this is gonna get. I feel like I feel like 20-1 is the more interesting aspect of it.
Yeah.
But again, I like the guys, but if you wanted to include the Undisputed Era, really, even though it's like a bunch of them, it's like they won the NXT Championship 3 separate times, I would have put them in like 50 to like 41, honestly.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
But to put them that high, it's like, I don't know.
Well, they're acknowledging their importance for today, but again, there's some tag teams that there's going to be a lot of complaints. I see it coming, but it'll be interesting. We'll get into it next week.
Right.
All right.
Thanks,
Cruiserweight.
All right. No problem.
All right. Take care. Have a good night. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate the list.
All right. No problem, man.
All right. Take care. Yeah, I notice. I notice when you hear that sound effect, everyone, one is calling in from a toll-free number, and one is calling in from a regular number. Hey, you're on. Who's this?
Hey, Don, Tony. How's it going?
Hey, what's up?
It's Steven. I was in your chat. I said, hey, Don, Tony, that's a cool shirt.
Thank you, Steven. I know. I was wanting to wear it. Now I had a reason to wear it.
So I actually had 2 questions for you.
Sure.
So my first question is, how did you feel about Samoa Joe coming back to NXT, and do we see matches with him soon in NXT?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you this, with Samoa Joe, I loved it. I've said a couple of times that I think Samoa Joe, it's obvious he wanted to wrestle. He doesn't have many years left. And he could be one injury away from just calling it a career. And Samoa Joe, we did hear earlier in the year that WWE wanted to keep him, but they didn't want to pay him on a level of as being a wrestler. Samoa Joe wanted to wrestle. WWE did not want. It's almost similar to the Matt Hardy situation. They wanted to keep Matt Hardy, but they wanted Matt Hardy to be more of an agent backstage than anything else. And I think they even thought there was rumors about Matt Hardy being in NXT also, but more behind the scenes. Samoa Joe still feels he can work a little bit. They released him, and I think Samoa Joe realized that the interest out there, because we're still not out of COVID, that a lot of companies don't have that extra money where they can put a lot of investment out there. Samoa Joe would probably eat up a lot of money for some companies. And I think WWE compromised and said, okay, we want you in NXT. We want you as the GM. We want you to be in a behind-the-scenes role. But what we'll do is we'll put you in situations where you could get physical. And him choking out Adam Cole, Adam Cole should want to have a match against Joe. I don't know if that'll happen. But I think Joe versus Kross could very well happen. By him having the stare down with Dunn yesterday and telling Gargano, get out of my office, and even, I don't know if you noticed it, but I think Austin Theory yesterday was pretending he was Diesel when he lifted his arm like this. So I think they're trying to do play off of Shawn Michaels Diesel a little bit. So they planted so many teases last night of Joe versus everybody. So Joe will get in the ring again, but it'll be short-lived. The ultimate goal is for Joe to be outside the ring. So we're getting the best of both worlds right now. We're getting a little bit of Joe doing what he wants to do, but ultimately he will be more of a figurehead role. Yeah, I like it, Darren. He could choke out his employees.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. My second question was, now with AEW, with their new show in August coming, what is this put them at? What do you think Tony Khan is trying to build up here? This is it's insane, with AEW having 2 more wrestling shows.
Well, as far as the YouTube stuff, I mean, if they're recording it, putting it on YouTube is not expensive. You know what I mean? If you're recording it, you're uploading it to YouTube, any advertising revenue you get, that's profit. YouTube takes a little, percentage of it, but putting stuff on YouTube, you're not paying a network. You're not even paying, you're getting some type of revenue from it. As far as Friday nights with Rampage, it's going to be the time slot of what they have right now, 10 to 12. And that time slot with your main program is only getting 400,000 viewers. You start putting B and C squads on Friday night, I wouldn't be surprised if those ratings are more in the 200,000 to 300,000 range. And I think that's probably what they're expecting. But Fridays is probably going to be some of the people that just couldn't get on Dynamite. I think they'll do some things on Friday that will set up the following week's Dynamite. And you'll get some storylines on Fridays that just, don't get on Wednesday because there's not enough time. So rather than doing 3 hours of Dynamite, we're getting 2 hours of Dynamite and then 2 hours of a secondary show 2 days later. So I think, it's going to remind me, I think, of a shotgun Saturday night. Going until midnight, having some rest. You'll see some replays of things that went down on Wednesday. If something really amazing goes down on a Wednesday, they will replay it on a Friday, just to show it. That's really what it's going to be right now. I don't see anything else coming out of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We'll see.
Well, I'm thinking about maybe going to New York, but I live in California, what you're saying, going to the
that's what 6.5 hour drive, plus the time zone too. You get here, it's 3 hours later. So that's pretty rough. But hey, if you could come, it'd be awesome if we could all get together. But if not, there's always a future. And trust me, we're going to WrestleMania Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have some get-togethers.
How many people are you thinking about inviting?
What, as far as California?
Oh no, to the AEW event in New York.
If I do, like I don't know if the bus trip is really gonna happen, because it's not like what it was 20 years ago. But if we did like old school, we would have like 1 or 2 points where everybody would meet up. There's a mall not too far from my house where everybody used to meet up when they would go to Ring of Honor or they would go to another pay-per-view. I might even have a bus if there's a lot of people coming in, because right now plane fares are awfully cheap. And to get a room in the middle of the week, if you book it early, with a discount, you get a room for under $100. So if some people fly in, there's shuttle service that you could even have to go to the stadium. The stadium is 5 minutes away. So, I'm hoping about 50 to 100 people hanging out. I mean, compared to a 20,000 seat building, it's not much, but I think we would have 50 to 100 people minimum that would show up to hang out.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, same here, my friend. All right, have a good night.
All right.
Take care. Yeah, see, with the AEW, like I said, there's going to be people that really want to go but just can't. You could have people that have no intention on going. You know what's funny? You get the usual people online that won't even show you what they look like. What makes you think in your right mind that they're going to show up at a wrestling event to hang out with all of us? What are they going to say? No cameras, please? You can't take a picture? I mean, I could. It ain't happening, man. But I would love to get together with all of you out there. So let me remove this Do Not Disturb again. I want to start wrapping this up. I know we didn't take too many calls tonight, but like I said, tomorrow night we'll have all night to talk about whatever is on your mind. I didn't even realize how long we've gone already, but yeah, we'll start wrapping this up. So maybe we'll take one more caller for tonight. If anybody wants to talk about, what I said about Kross or the AEW stuff. So 225 Don Tony, which is 225-366-8669. Or if you want to call toll free, 833 Don VMVM. Good evening. You're on. Who's this?
Hey, Don Tony. This is Neil.
Hey, Neil. What's going on?
Hey, how you been, man?
Good, good.
First off, I want to say thank you for taking my call.
Oh,
Shout out to the whole chat. So what I want to talk about is it's good to see Joe back, but I want to see him fight,
Yeah.
Whatever time we got with him in WWE, which I don't think it's long, because the way Vince is looking at things with Joe is like, it's like a part-time role of wrestling or a role of like the GM of NXT or whatever it is. And I was like, at that point, I was like, let's see Joe fight for a little bit and hopefully he could go back to, TNA or go to AEW.
Sure. I would not be surprised. Look, I don't know how long his deal is for. I would not be surprised if his deal is only a year. I would not be surprised. Yeah. And then a year from now, we're further away from COVID. Some promotions will have revenue stream coming back in. And then the interest might be larger a year from now for Samoa Joe. I would be very surprised if we heard Samoa Joe sign like a 3-year deal or a 5-year deal. I would not be surprised if it's I wouldn't even be surprised if it was a 6-month deal. I think it's a short deal and the wait and see approach. And then if it doesn't work out, then a year from now, he probably has a much better chance to sign with one of those companies. And if it works out really good, then he stays with WWE.
Okay, so let's say with the way Vince McMahon is, right? He's very sporadic, right? He could be good, he could be horrible, right? With signings and releases, right? Let's just say hypothetically Joe does leave in 6 months to a year, right? As old as he is and the injury history that he's gone through, how long do you think he has with the next company he joins?
If Joe could stay healthy, I think he's got 3 to 5 years left in the ring. Not full time. not full time, but 3 to 5 years part time. I mean, if you really look close, I mean, it's going to change now once house shows return. But look at Christian as an example. I mean, if people really pay attention, he hasn't had many matches in the 2 months or so, 3 months that he's been in AEW. Hasn't had many.
Yeah.
And some of them have been tag matches, to protect him. So if Joe works a part-time schedule, and look, even if Joe comes back to take on Kross, that might be his only match for a month and a half. So, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors involved. So if Joe stays part-time in the ring, no reason he can't work another 3 to 5 years. But, if he works more often and gets injured again, I just don't see a lot of companies wanting to take that financial risk, and that might be the end of his career.
I hear you. Can you work to like the level part-time with Rey Mysterio?
Well, their styles are different, but I think Rey actually, to his credit, he's wrestling a couple of times a month. I mean, yes, we're still not back to house shows. When we get back to house shows, let's see, how many people, how many times people wrestle in a month. But I think Samoa Joe, look, I brought up Jake Atlas earlier. Jake Atlas has only wrestled since January. As far as singles matches, I think he's only wrestled 4 times. So that's a guy who is much younger, that is able and capable, and even he only works about once a month. So, Joe would be more of a backstage segment, a pull apart. Next week, maybe a challenge. Next week after, a contract signing. And there's 3-4 weeks and he hasn't wrestled at all. So it'll be a lot of smoke and mirrors.
I get you.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the input. That makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much, AT.
All right, have a good night, my friend. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Maybe we'll take one more. If anybody would like to call in. I noticed every time I disconnect the call, the Do Not Disturb pops back on. I don't know if it's like set to like an automatic setting online, but I just disabled it again. So we'll take one more call. Somebody wants to call in. 225 Don Tony, 833 Don VMVM. Good evening. You're on. Who's this?
Hey, DT. It's Steven.
Hey, Steven.
You can call me Steven C, because I know the last guy I called uses the
same
name as me.
Steven G it is. What's on your mind?
C.
Oh, C. Okay.
At first I was going to ask you, I got the same email I remember you got back, it was like a while back ago, for like the Thunderdome event, where they sent you like an email, and then you have to like register for it, and then it's supposed to give you like a link, and it said something about like a first come, first serve.
Who's this?
Steven.
No. I meant, what do you mean as far as the email?
Oh no, I got it from WWE. They sent you like an email so you can register for the Thunderdome for SmackDown.
I'm on Thunderdome Friday night. I mean, I'm gonna log in and see. I mean, look, it's fun to see yourself on TV, but I've been on there 5 times. I've only seen myself once, and it was funny because somebody that follows the show was on the screen right next to me, which was pretty funny. But if I do it Friday and I'm like in the boondock somewhere, I got a lot of prep to do for the shows, so I might just disconnect. But what you got to do, and this is my advice, if you ever want to do Thunderdome, or anyone else out there wants to do Thunderdome, is first of all, they usually open up the spots during the day, usually around late morning, 12 noon, around that time. They have a website. If you go on Google, you type in WWE Thunderdome, it'll give you the link itself. And then what you do is, each day or every other day around the late morning to 12, you don't even have to wait for them to announce it on their social media. You just go on the website, and then it'll tell you to type in your name and your email address. And if there are spots open, it'll tell you to type your name one more time to confirm it, and then they send you an acknowledgement email telling you that you're part of Thunderdome. What happened with me And I had found.
I think I got that. I didn't mean to cut you off. I think that's what I got because it said something about check in around. I think it was around a little bit after like 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I got 7:15 for Friday. Yeah, I got 7:15 for Friday, which is interesting because what happens is the last 3 times that I was in Thunderdome, I didn't sign up for it. But what they do is they have a list of people who they trust that's been in Thunderdome that doesn't cause any issues. And sometimes they'll send invitations to people even though they didn't request it. And when I accepted it a couple of times, my call time, I think the last 3 times was like 15 minutes before the main event. And I'm like, all right, you want me on Thunderdome just for 15 minutes? So this Friday for 7:15, I was like, okay, that's interesting. That's like way before even SmackDown starts. But yeah, so now all you do, since you got the confirmation email, is Friday around 7 o'clock to maybe 7:10, you have your webcam on, you test everything. It'll give you a screen to test it to make sure everything works. And then you just click the link and then you're in. And then when you go on Thunderdome, believe it or not, what you see on your screen is going to be the exact same thing that we see at home. Like if you're like, let's say you're on the hard camera side, front row.
Yeah.
It's not, when you're looking at your screen, it's not like you're going to see it as if you were sitting front row. You'll probably see yourself on the computer screen. It's whatever we see at home on TV is what you see on Thunderdome.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not different camera angles or anything like that. And you will get someone in your ear. We had The Miz one time. We had Adam Pearce 2 other times. I don't remember who else did it. But they get in your ear and they'll tell you, okay, so-and-so is going to come out. All right, Roman Reigns is about to come out. All right, here we go. Thumbs down, everybody. Daniel Bryan came out one time. All right, everybody, let's go. Yes, yes, yes. And he would prep, the fans to do that for the video.
So when you said that they like talk to you and stuff, they tell you like what to do. Do you hear like people like trying to talk to them or anything like that?
No.
And so
your mic, my mic, all the fans in Thunderdome, their mics are muted. They early on people were claiming early on that our voices can be heard in Thunderdome, and that's not true. It would be all white noise because it doesn't work that way. But you will hear somebody go on your screen once in a while. They'll say, okay, everybody, when we come back from break, so-and-so's going to come out, so be ready for this. And they will try to dictate people to do, and trust me, I guarantee you that they've had fans the last couple of weeks. All right, Roman Reigns is going to come out, so get ready for those "you suck" chants. And then they pipe it into the soundboard, and then you see on the screen everybody going, "You suck." It's fun. Right. It's fun. You'll have a good time, and who knows? Maybe we'll end up sitting pretty close to each other on the screen.
No, that'd be pretty cool. And I was also going to tell you, because I know you said you wanted to get people down for the show. I know you're in New York. I'm from Massachusetts. Maybe I could try to come down if possible.
Yeah. I mean, I already heard from a few people that came down for that Lucky 13 2.5 years ago, and they said that they were going to make the trip. One of them lives in the Poconos. It's not that far, but, it'll be a fun experience. I mean, middle of the week is a little bit difficult for some people, but, hopefully these prices are not outrageous. I think the ticket prices start at $25. And yeah, I think it's $25. And even though it's a 20,000 seat building, you really don't have any areas with bad seats. And really, if we all get together, we're doing it more for everybody to hang out than, like sitting front row to see that. Now, if it ends up that not a lot of people are going to come down, then I may end up getting one of those sky boxes, or I may end up getting like some VIP seats. But either way, if you could make it, I know a bunch of us are going to be hanging out.
No, because that's definitely something that I wanted to do, because I know that they actually been trying to come to Boston a couple different times.
Yeah.
and I was actually going to try to go to like one of the recent events before like COVID happened. So I've just been waiting. They keep rescheduling it. Rescheduling it. I think at first it said they would be around like this time in like July, but then they've just kept like pushing it back. So it seems like they haven't announced anything around here yet.
They will. I know they're going to be in upstate New York, I think the week before. I don't know if it's Rochester. A week before, a week after, they're going to be in Rochester. But they are doing some type of Northeast run, so who knows? Massachusetts might be in that, block as well. So I expect next week for them to announce one or two more locations. So, maybe there will be a Massachusetts one in there. I think they are going to Massachusetts very soon.
I think so. I think so too. Because I remember. I think one of the first shows that they did it was actually in Massachusetts, and I was trying to go to that one, but at the time I was working when they had the pre-sale actually going in, and then from what I seen, it looked like it was like a pretty good show from like the first time. So I kind of regretted not being able to go because it just looks like it's like a fun time, and like the tickets are cheaper compared to like going to some of like the WWE events.
Sure.
Sometimes like some of the prices that they have like going to like the Garden and stuff, like just to sit up front at the time, like they said at an AEW event, it was around like the same price.
See, that's why, again, I'm a huge fan of Meltzer, but I think it's really unfair. Last week, even this week, they were saying that AEW was outselling WWE in tickets in certain areas. What they failed to bring up is that AEW's ticket prices were like $25, $30, and WWE's were in excess of $100. So, of course, if I offer something for nothing, or next to nothing, I might get more people to buy it compared to someone else that's offering maybe a little bit of a more elite brand, but a lot more money. You got to compare, put it this way. If you're going to compare, you're not going to compare and say, oh, this car is outselling this car, but the car that's not selling well is a $100,000 car, and the car that's selling well is a $20,000 car. You got to compare it evenly. There's usually more to it. But, we'll see what happens. I hope you get an AEW show soon.
Yeah, thanks, man. And
thank you.
Before you let me go, can I ask you, did you see what Mark Henry was saying about how he's been pushing for Braun Strowman to come in?
Yeah,
and Tommy End have been the two that they keep saying that's going to go there.
Well,
sorry.
If they're going to go anywhere, it's going to be AEW. Maybe Tommy End might, he could fit in NXT. I mean, NWA, he could fit in other promotions. But as far as money-wise, and this is what I said earlier tonight, when people fantasize Braun in this company or this company, what they got to understand is the companies that some people are talking about, can they afford him? And, AEW, $155 million TV deal, pretty decent pay-per-view buy rates, and selling out buildings, return to wrestling, they would be more inclined to have that expendable income to afford a Braun Strowman. The problem is I just don't see Braun Strowman being worth the money, and that's not a criticism on Braun Strowman. I am a fan of Braun Strowman. I like him, and I want to see him on TV. The way AEW uses big men, I don't see Braun Strowman leapfrogging over the Young Bucks, Miro, Kenny Omega, and other. What does he go for? Is he just gonna just brawl with Powerhouse Hobbs? You know what I mean? I just don't see him as a good fit there because of the way AEW is shown how they use their big men. So it's not a knock on Braun. Mark Henry is thinking about it, because he's been in WWE for decades. So he's thinking of it more with the WWE mindset. I don't think Mark Henry truly understands, how AEW is so much favoring a light heavyweight division. Maybe Mark Henry is trying to change their views, but I don't see Braun Strowman as being a great fit right now.
Do you think that that's them, AEW, trying to show that they're a heavyweight division by trying to sign Big Show and Mark Henry to be like, hey, maybe if we get these guys, they can try to help the heavyweights and try to help us get better with that? Because it seems like they can't get it going. Just definitely like you're saying.
They're backstage.
Hard, the big guys.
They're veterans that'll help mold and prepare the wrestlers, not only physically, but mentally, professionally, etiquette. They're behind the scenes more than anything. And that doesn't change the mindset of Tony Khan. It doesn't change the mindset of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and, QT Marshall and Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler and others. Those are the ones making the decisions. So Big Show and Mark Henry, they are, larger than life characters, and they probably could still do a match here and there, and they will. But at the end of the day, I don't think they have any influence as far as AEW changing how they handle their big men. Until I see one of these big men become AEW heavyweight champion or tag team champion, the TNT title, TNT title's nice and everything, but that's more of a title for a network, unless they come up with create a new title.
And they're gonna have to change it to the TBS title. What everybody's saying when they move to TBS, you can't call it the TNT title anymore.
I think they should defend that title on Friday nights. It'll still be TNT.
And just think, DT, if they end up coming out with the three-way trio titles, maybe they'll have Who Dat with his clan to be the trio titles. It's just another thing that you can add to his resume.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, but we'll see what happens. But my friend, I thank you for calling in. Have a great night, and don't be a stranger.
You too.
All right.
Oh no problem, man. Thanks, man.
You're welcome. Take care. All right. Great call. I feel bad but we did do about 40 minutes worth. It's great topics. Very interesting stuff. Makes a lot of sense. Everybody that called in. And I thank you all that were appreciating a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff at Thunderdome, because not everybody has tried it out. I would try it out one time if you have a webcam. I think it's a little bit fun. I mean, you get a little behind the scenes and, somebody talking in your ear a little bit, which is pretty entertaining. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. We are right around the 3-hour mark. Longer than I expected today, but, we tackled some awesome topics. And just think, tomorrow night at 10:05 p.m. Eastern, I will be right back here with your Q&A. We'll do live calls all throughout the night. In fact, I think maybe even tomorrow we'll kick it right off. Right at the beginning of the show, we'll start off with live calls. So, again, Thursday nights, anything is on the table. Even if you want me to comment about Biden and Putin, even though I know most of you out there are like, no, please, no. But, look, whatever is on your mind tomorrow, call in. Let me do this. We got to put that back to normal. So, whatever's on your mind tomorrow. And trust me, never feel that you can't ask something. I don't bite. If you want to criticize me or hold me to something, say it, And, you ask me questions, I'll always answer. Sometimes I might have to, be a little bit, I want to say politically correct, but, be a little bit more amicable, be amicable towards people, not trying to stir shit up. I like stirring shit up with throwing out facts and things for people to think about. Like I said, I don't want to single out Jake Atlas, but what I said earlier tonight, I think a lot of people in the back of their mind feel the same way. And maybe some people are a little bit nervous to speak up about it because they think they're going to get a whole bunch of people that are going to just, scream down on them. It's not a shot on Jake Atlas, but I just find it, a little bit disrespectful that WWE had that tweet ready. And then this way, as soon as he won, boom, let's send it to the world. What a great way to start off LGBT Pride Month. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, it was a nice moment. But, okay, the gay person won. Now we can move on. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. Just an opinion, but that's how I like to stir it up. To basically speak our mind about topics that maybe some others want to talk about, but are a little bit reluctant to. Not trying to hate, not trying to start stuff. If anything, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. We want to see, people treated, fairly. and treated because they've earned it and not just because it's a status or I don't like that, man. So anyway, shout out to everybody who is still here. I thank you for hanging out tonight. If you would be so kind before you go, if you enjoyed the show, like, share, subscribe. Yes, people tell me too, hit that notification. This way, when I launch upcoming episodes, you will be made aware of it right away. Now, the one thing that I got to start doing on this show is I got to start recording little clips about specific topics, put those on here as well. I know some people will tell me, oh, you should, that Jake Atlas conversation, you should put that by itself. Oh, you want to talk about AEW, New York, you should put that by itself. I hear you. And I know that there are tons of people doing it because it's buried in a 3-hour show. What I will do tonight, right after I get this online, is I will put up timestamps. So it's a little bit early still over here. I mean, I'm probably not going to pass out for another 2 hours. So I'm going to add some timestamps tonight for everything that we talked about, so it'll be nice and neat. And if you're around tomorrow night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern, join me. We'll have a blast and lots of calls, and it'll be good times as always. So everyone, take care. Be well. I didn't leave out anybody's super chats, so I will exit this show. I don't know. The hair doesn't look too bad today. I don't want to have to comb it. I'll wake up tomorrow morning and I could just, if I don't take a shower until, I get home from work, I leave it just like that. So, all right, everybody. Good night. See you tomorrow night, 10:05 p.m. Ciao.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.